Okay. Bum, bum, bum. Right. Time to check the sound. So let's go ahead and do that really quickly. Not the echo. Okay. Well, that's working. So good. Mm, come on. Okay. All right. I am just waiting. And I'm going to pull this over so it's closer to the charger. There we go. Not that really helps clean anything. Hello. I am just waiting. Ooh. Okay. Well, there's that. Okay. Good morning or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. It's morning for me, 10:01 a.m. Just put my glasses back on. Actually, I'm feeling big glasses today. Okay. Stacy says, "Good morning. Volume 4 has been an emotional roller coaster. Looking forward to the talk." Man, such an emotional roller coaster. I don't even know like how I made it through this volume because it was so heart-wrenching and just everything I didn't expect. It's like people told me that YuWu hurts a lot, but still I just was not prepared for the hurt. Um, I'm grabbing the remaining books. 1 second. That's 5, 6, and 7. Hi, Anne. Good to see you again. Good to see you both again. She says, my tears managed to completely run dry. I don't know. I think the next couple of volumes may inspire some tears. You never know, because we still have 3 left, and there's no telling what is in them. I'm not ready. Also, there's motion detected at my door, and it's across the street, so it doesn't matter. I'm gonna turn this down. Okay, so we've got about like 2 minutes of waiting left for other people to join. But how are y'all this morning or evening, depending on, when that is for you guys. Um I also need to pull up my notes for today. Um yes, volume 4. Here we go. And now I want to like split the screen. Thank you. There we go. Okay. Just trying to make sure I've got everything like clear as day for me to see. Anyway. Okay. So yesterday, I guess since I have like a minute to spare before we get started, yesterday was rough. Like y'all already know. So before the live session, I was doing my regular job, right? And then my husband, he sends me a random message. I'm going to go to it. And he says, "Hey love, on a scale of 1, nothing at all, to 10, struggling to want to live, how would you say you are doing on your grief process now?" And I was working and I was like, "Well, I wasn't thinking about it before." But now I am. And so I was sad and I responded or whatever, and I cried just like a little bit while I was working, and just like, okay, couple quick sniffles, keep working. And then we read the remainder of the chapters yesterday, and I don't know, I guess my brain just kind of, it was an overload because honestly, like the funeral was Saturday. Of course, there were tears and stuff then. I even got up to speak during the funeral. But after that, there was happiness and joy with the rest of my family, and everything was good. Like, there wasn't really a moment of sadness for me. Even when I got home, it was like, okay, get back into work, get back into school. And so everything was fine. I guess I haven't really spared time for emotions, if you will. Not that I've been like trying to stuff them down, but nothing happened. But then yesterday, it was like that text just was a domino effect. And then while we were reading about Gumang at the grave and at the gravestones, and I was just like, oh my God. I was trying to like edit that out of yesterday's video to put it up onto YouTube. And I mean, some of it's still in there, but I edited some of it out because I was just like, crap. And I was rewatching it too. And just looking at the moments after that when I started laughing, I was like, yeah, I think I'm done. And so literally like after that I cooked and I was just in a mood. Like I didn't usually my husband and I watch TV together while we eat, and I was just like the whole time. And so eventually I was like, I'm just gonna get into bed. So I got into bed and I cried some more. And then I went to bed early and woke up at like 4:45. I was like, great. Who wants to be up at 4:45 a.m.? I did get back to sleep eventually, but I only had like 2 hours left. Nevertheless, I got those tears out, so I'm happy. It is what it is. The pin on your shirt is beautiful, by the way. Thank you. This is Xielian. He needs to face upright. There we go. I have Hua Chong as well. I just decided not to wear them today because why? I didn't need to. But anyway, yeah, let me see. The feelings come crashing in sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Cookielicious. Nice to see you. And it hits you at random moments. Yeah, that's basically what happened. And I hope you continue to feel happy. Sometimes we have to let out emotions to feel better. Yeah. And this is like the first death I'm dealing with at 30 years old. And so it's a bit interesting. Nevertheless, we've got things to do today. So, of course, the first thing that we are going to do is discuss this volume and everything that it gave us or took away from us, right? Then we also have some giveaways. So those of you on YouTube, you know about your giveaway, but I actually have a giveaway for my Patreoners as well, because I didn't want to leave them out and only have something for you guys. I want everybody to feel included. So yeah, we're going to do that. And then after that, Mm, actually, no, I kept that in the video yesterday, so we don't need to read the summary for the fifth volume. Yeah. So I guess we could just go ahead and get started now. You guys are more than welcome to put your thoughts and stuff in the comment section so that I can read them out. If you have any theories or questions you want to ask me as we're going, please put those in as well. I will be making sure that I am keeping track of them. On my phone because I don't want to miss anything that anyone says. So let me just open this up really quickly. Yeah, there we are. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So one more time, I'm going to pull up this beautiful, and isn't this cover so beautiful? Like, with how beautiful it was, I wasn't really expecting to hurt so much, but I guess I should have. Yeah, I should have. So let's go ahead and get into my notes. The first thing that I want to say is there are a couple of things that I think will be like revolving themes ish, if you will, as we go through the novel. But it's going to be the Emperor's contradictions, Gumang's identity and suffering, Moshi's growth and in his love, and then memory, truth, and resistance. So those are kind of some things that I think are ever pressing in volume 4. And we're going to go chapter-ish by chapter. It's basically going to be a recount of the book, and maybe I'll just express how I feel. And we'll see where things go from there. So, of course, this entire volume goes through chapter 198. I mean, sorry, from 98 to 130. So we're going to start with what I personally like to call the Bat Queen arc. Okay, there are technically no arcs in YuWu, but I'm going to give them some arcs anyway. And the Bat Queen arc is basically chapter 98 through 105. So we have them going here to confront the Bat Queen. She's Moshi and Gumang have disguised themselves to look like her servants using one of Gumang's illusion spells called the illusion butterfly technique, which, by the way, I just have to say, Gumang is a really inventive person. We've already seen this before in I think the previous novel, or maybe it was just this one, and it talked about things that he's created before. And I want to see more of that because to me, that shows him as being like a master creator of some kind. May not be like Jiang Yexue and Muzhong Chuyi when it comes to artificing, but when it comes to spells and stuff like that, it's really exciting to see that he can use something this cool. So anyway, they disguise themselves as the servants to go find the Bat Queen and figure things out. And Gumang has this theory that she has an obsession with a certain man, and they want to know who the man is, why she is obsessed. It has to do something with love. So eventually, we get to like her in this blood pool or whatever, and he brings her some food, but he put the soul recording spell in her food so that they could later use it, which we find out when they're in the hut that she has a very tragic past, if you will. Part of it is tragic, the other part is like her own problem, you know? So, hi Jasmine, how are you doing? Also your comment says UM. I don't know what that means. Okay, yay, made it. Okay, that's what it was supposed to say. I'm glad you made it because I know. Whew, yeah. Okay. So basically, we have the Bat Queen. She was a princess of her Bat tribe, and some demons from another island invaded. Her mother died, and her sister sacrificed herself for her so she could escape. And she's flying away in her little bat form, and her spiritual energy is just going down. And she collapsed on this spiritual island and rescued by an immortal who, at first, she thought was going to like cling her. It turns out it wasn't the case. And this immortal happens to be Headmaster Chen Tang, who was also the preceptor of Chonghua, who was also said to have been defeated, destroyed completely by a demonic beast. So, how is he here? That is a question that we have for Volume 5. But considering the cover for volume 5, I guess I'll say for volume 6, maybe? I don't know. So anyway, this man and her are the only two on the island. And this is a moving island that seems to have all the four seasons within the trees and the fruits and everything. And of course, being on an island with just one person, you might fall in love with them, and that's exactly what happened to her. But she she was rejected, and he let her down kindly, at first just saying like, I'm not interested, but she kept pressing and pressing, and so eventually he said he was on the Taoist path. One thing that I wanted to talk about specifically in this arc that I didn't talk about like in the I guess at the end of the video is one of the things that was said to her was basically that she had I don't think I highlighted it at all. No, that she only knew him for a short amount of time. Yeah, here it is on page 41. It says, he said we had only known each other for a few months. How could I feel love for him? But love isn't just a feeling. It can be slow and steady like a stream, or something you grasp in an instant. I wanted to talk about this because, oh, God, just got off work. Man, um, I wanted to talk about this because I was having a friendly debate with my ARHA group chat on Facebook, in which someone in the group believed that you can't love someone fast. You know, they think if you love fast, not fall in love because that's different, but if you love fast, then it's not real love. Like love is something that has to be built over years and years of experiencing things together. And I personally disagree. So, like in this moment, when the man told her how to feel, basically, I was just kind of like, I disagree because love is a feeling of great admiration and adoration for someone. And that might seem so like simple and base level for people, but that is exactly what it is. And it doesn't take a lifetime to feel that for someone. What does take a while is no well, or actually for men it doesn't apparently. But what does take some time is to know whether or not you can rely on this person, if you can trust this person, if this is someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with. You know, but love is not something that has to take years in order to find out. If that were the case, um, people would not be getting married. So after like 5 years or something, we'd still be like, I don't know if I love you, you know. And my justification was a mother who has a child in her womb immediately loves them, right? So if a mother can immediately love a child she has not met, has not spent time with, how is it that a person who is walking the earth, who has some experiences, who has the ability, the capacity to form thoughts, how can they not love someone in such a quick amount of time? Okay, that was my little spiel. And then Stacy says, I believe people can have kindred spirits and that can present as love or friendship. Absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is, love is a very generic thing. The next thing we have is falling in love, you know, or just love and developing that friendship. But it's something like when I met my husband, the second time we met, I knew. I heard a voice say, "You are going to love this man for the rest of your life." And here we are, 9 years later, and I still love him, and I am in love. So, anyway, I won't spiel on that anymore. The point is, when he said those words to her, that is something I thought about, and I was like, "I don't think that's fair." But anyway, since he rejected her finally by snapping and saying, "Okay, I'm on the Taoist path," which was not true, she made him pinky promise, which is so childish. Pinky promised that he would walk this path and he would not stray from it. But what happened? He ended up straying from that path. And so she felt betrayed by him, which in this instance, I have to say that to feel betrayal from someone who never swore themselves to you in the first place, who never even swore themselves as your friend, is kind of a heavy thing because the man never said that he had these feelings. And I just realized something that I didn't plug in my microphone and I'm just talking like from my laptop volume. I know that's really random, but I suppose the sound is still good, so we're okay then. Um, so that's her tragic past. And that's why she no longer likes men of any kind unless they are from her tribe specifically. And hence the goo worm curse. If any man dares invade onto her island, they get the goo worms put into them. They are imprisoned until they die. And then she can use them like clay and shape them and mold them into Headmaster Chuntong. Of course, they don't last forever, which is why this is something that is repeated. So anyway, aside from that, we have this bat queen who had released a fragrance in the air. It's said to smell like grass, lotus pond, summer, and honey. And it's intoxicating to the bat demons, like the ephemera that our Mujong Lian be smoking all the time. And it also has an effect on Gumang due to his snow fey wolf essence. So when he and Morsi are in this thatched hut and they're listening to the tale, and after that, you know, they're hearing the other couple beside them copulate until Gumang annoyingly sings them away. They're locked inside. It comes to the realization that, like, oh, my body is affected by this too. Uh oh. And it's making him hot. Okay, making him really, really hot. And the reason why this is happening is because the Bat Queen has, Wu Yan is her name, has demanded that everybody dual cultivate to restore her energy, which is crazy. This is very crazy. But anyway, this is affecting Gumong, but not Moshi, which is very interesting. And we move into this realm of like forced intimacy between them, but you know, it is what it is. So Moshi is unable to see Gumong suffer. This is something that we have known even from previous volumes. You know, when he has seen Gumong hurt in the past, when they were in like Muzhong Lian's place for that party and he was being, degraded and everything, just we've seen that he doesn't like to see him hurt. When he was in interrogation from Wu Zhonglian and he was badly bloodied and everything, it hurts him to see his Gumangaga like that. So even in a realm like this, he does not like to see Gumang suffer, not even a little bit. Stacy says, "Do you think the incense smells different according to the person?" Um, Possibly, because those were specific smells that he said, I guess he was liking when he smelled them. I mean, I would think so, possibly. Either that or those four different smells are put together, so there are at least four different tastes for all the people that can intoxicate them. Or even if two or three smells are mingling together, they form some kind of smell that would be alluring to one person. And maybe one smell will stand out more to one person than it would to another person. I do think that is something that's potential because he was really loving the grass smell. I was like, okay, yeah, you're definitely a wolf. Because who's loving the smell of the grass? And I can imagine maybe the bats were really drawn to like the honey smell. Who knows? That's just, theorizing since you asked the question. Um, so he's unable to watch his Gumangaga suffer, right? And internally, you know, Gumaga's like, I don't want to ask him for help because we just cannot be close like that. Because if we get close like that, like that's just not a good thing. And so, um, really quickly, Jasmine says, I can't help but think as well. Didn't Gumang say that Moshi smelled like honey? I'm trying to remember. I think so. I think so. Which would make this much worse. I wish I could flip back to, I guess, the exact page where it may have said something like that, but I don't know. Um, I think so. And so Moshi, even like Gumang is trying to relieve himself very quietly and very inconspicuously, but he's very, very conspicuous. And eventually Moshi is like, oh my gosh, guy, do you hate me that much that I can't even help you with something like this? Just pretend it's somebody else, okay? It's not me, it's somebody else. And of course, Gumang is thinking, like, how could it be anyone but you? It's always been you and only you. Honey and Jasmine, maybe. I really don't remember. I'd have to go back and listen to that whole section again in order to recall. But I think it was part Jasmine because I remember making a comment about, "Oh, I love Jasmine so much," or something like that because I love the smell of jasmine and a gardenia. So I think so. Um, but he's like, there's no one but you. But of course, this is on the inside. So with this scene, we have like this bittersweet moment because they're able to have intimacy again, but literally just physical intimacy. It's not emotional intimacy because both of them are cold and detached from one another or trying their best to be. Like even Moshi, he's not kissing him or biting him or leaving any marks and stuff that he would have done in the past. At most, we get him saying some filthy words to Gumong, like, if you've had, sex with anyone else, have they been able to give it to you like this? Which I thought was so funny. I was like, Moshi, are you like flexing right now? Is that what's happening? But it was so funny. Although this scene was just like tragic, and Gumong's eyes were covered so he couldn't see. And even when he was trying to uncover them, Moshi was like, nope, I won't let you see. But the thing that I found interesting, which I guess Morsi didn't realize, is that, or well, he realized it, but he didn't think too deeply about it, is when they were having sex, Gumang called his name. And he was supposed to be pretending it was someone else, remember? And so Morsi was like, "Are you sure you want to call my name?" Meanwhile, he kept saying Morsi, Morsi. So it's like, I know it's kind of hard to think about so many things. They just came out of the time era and whatnot, but he's supposed to be pretending it's someone else, yet he is still calling your name. That's a pretty big thing to me. Like, I'd like to believe, probably not though, if I were in that moment and he was saying my name, that I would realize he was still basking in me, not some other random person, but me. Nevertheless. Um, we also have a little more understanding into Gumong's body. Since he is mixed with the Fey Wolf, he secretes slick, if you will, just like demons. And that just lets us know like how much his body was tempered. Of course, Moshi was like, was this done on purpose? Have other people used his body for this? You know, which is another thing that is concerning. And I'm like, did that happen? Like, I would hope not. I would think not, but you never know, right? So anyway, moving past that, we have them finally returning to the cave, which one thing I have to say is another point for Gumong is that you really see he's kind at heart because he said we can escape this place without hurting anyone. We don't have to fight the Bat Queen or her minions, as I'm going to call them. We can just safely escape. Like, that was his plan. His plan was never to fight themselves off of the island or anything like that. And so we just get another glimpse, a small moment into his kindness that's really just, brushed over really quickly. But I wanted to bring that to light in case anybody else thought about it. Um, so they go back to the cave in which they are witnessing Muzhong Chuyi berating Yue Chengqing for his recklessness, but you're showing an underlining of his care and concern for Yue Chengqing's health. And if for nothing else, because Yue Chengqing is Muzhong Huang's son. And it's in this moment where we finally get to see Yue Chengqing snap and stand up to Muzhong Chuyi and stand up for Jiang Yexue because Muzhong Chuyi called him a bastard and was so disrespectful to him. And Yue Chengqing was just like, do you have to be so fucking mean? He was like, "Is my mom the only person that you care about? Like, do you not care about us? We've been nothing but kind to you, and like, I've shown you nothing but admiration and respect, and this is how you treat us." And I was so happy to finally see Yue Chengqing have this moment because we've been seeing him praise Muzhong Chuyi for so long. But clearly, he's not blind because some people are blind like that. They will, just dote on someone or love someone and admire them so much that their flaws are literally brushed away. But clearly, his brain was remembering. I won't say he was keeping tabs, but he was remembering. So I was very proud of him. Anne says that made me think that maybe also the incense could have affected Gumong in a major point to feel the way he did. Yes, very possible. Well, I was about to say maybe we'll dig deeper into that, but I guess we won't because, like, when are they going back to the Bat Island? When does the Bat Queen come back up? She's like Li Qingtian. It was like, you were the plot pusher for this novel, but now you're gone. So before we go to the next set of chapters, I would say character moments for this. Again, for Gumong, we got to see his kindness and him not being just a cruel person who just wants to fight and stuff, which also again supports what he said in, was it in the very beginning of this volume? One second. No, at the very beginning of the last volume, when he said he doesn't remember, but he believes that he doesn't like war either, that he doesn't revel in fighting. This moment is another supporter of his statement. We also learned that, yes, Gumang is still very much deeply in love with Morsi. He misses him, cherishes him, longs for him. But he is building a wall and pushing them away and hoping that Morsi will hate him because there's no future for them. And he even mentioned carrying some regret for the path that he had chosen and that he had ruined his life, but he was still honoring that. So he's a very loyal person, a very compassionate person. Then for Morsi, we have him breaking down or like finally snapping at Gumong when he was provoked on, do you feel resentment toward me as well? Finally, we had him expressing some emotion because the man is so repressed. So even though I didn't like talk about it just throughout the chapters, it was very nice to see him finally have a moment where he expressed himself somewhat. Not saying that he felt relieved afterward, but he needed to say some words to Gumong, because Gumang was poking at him and he was being a big old meanie. So we also learn that Morsi viewed Gumang not just as a friend, not just as a lover, but also as his god. And that is what we learned when they were in the time mirror. But he, through these chapters, had reflected on that. And it shows how high of a pedestal he placed Gumang on. And of course, when you place somebody high on a pedestal, the one who gets hurt when they fall is you, the person who put them on the pedestal. So then we move to Muzhong Chuyi, which again, we have his um, resentfulness come out finally, and we know exactly how he feels, which again, mean as it may be, it was good for us to hear. Well, not us, good for Jiang Yeshe and Yue Chengqing to hear how he feels. They needed to know that because I'm a big believer that as long as you don't reveal what's inside of your heart, you can never heal from things or be delivered from things, if you will, because you're not sharing those innermost thoughts. Confess. What does it say in the Bible again? Shoot, I don't remember. But when you confess, you're able to get over that leap and bound. I think that is just a proverb for life in general. Um, and we also have him, risking his life using the Sacred Heart technique for Yue Chengqing, and that greatly damaged his body. So those are like two big moments for Mu Yong Chu Yi, and then again, Yue Chengqing finally asserting himself. So when it comes to the themes in these chapters, I'm going to say the biggest themes are probably love and obsession, which of course we see the Bat Queen's tragic romance. And I would even say the tragedy between Gumong and Morsi. We have their love and the Bat Queen with Chantang. The love is warped into resentment and hurt and pain and grief and even rejection. And I would even say that they both, Morsi and the Bat Queen, share obsession. Now, of course, they're showing obsession in different ways. Um, and just for anyone who's like, no, Morsi's not obsessed with Gumong. Yes, he is. Obsess means to preoccupy or fill the mind of someone continually, intrusively, to a troubling extent. Doesn't that sound like Moshi? And after all these years, even in the years that they were separated, he was not able to get over Gumong. So he's obsessed. And it's just in a different way. Um, and then, of course, the other theme for these chapters, we already talked about pedestals and the humanity of people. So, next, moving on to chapters 106 to 110, where we're going to take a look at like the aftermath of them getting back from the island, Princess Mengzi, and investigation times. So, they leave that island, and I was grateful that nothing happened. They were able to get Zhong back to her people, and they got home safely. Thank you, Meat Bun. But also, fuck you, Meat Bun. Because the pain just comes a little bit later. So Yue Chengqing is saved, they're back home, but they don't even get to rest. And it's the middle of the y'all, it's the middle of the night when all the stuff afterward happens. When we think about it, like when they get back, this fourth volume took place over a short freaking period of time. Like, wait, what? Freya, hi, it's nice to see you again. Um, we are just discussing chapters 106 to 110. But yeah, this happened in a short amount of time, you guys. That's the scary part. So as soon as they arrive, Morsi's like, I got some investigation to do. Well, he doesn't say it like that, but that's what it was. And Gumang wants to like dibble and dabble around a little bit. And he's like, no, go home. Your identity will be revealed if you go to all these places, even if you wear a mask or cover yourself or whatever. So he goes home. Um, and then, I'm sorry, before that, we have Jiang Yeshui, who has a suspicion about Gumang and Moshi having a sexual relationship because when they were still on his ship in the sky, he saw that the ribbon on Gumang's head was Moshi's. And so while Gumang was sleeping, he was looking at his collar to see if he saw any bites. So that was interesting. And Jiang Geshuo notices a lot of things. I'll mention it again, I think, as we go further. But yeah. Shira, hello. How are you doing today? Um, so anyway, we have Moshi going off to do what he's going to do. But then we also have like Gumang getting a little bit of reflection in his time, I guess, going back to Moshi's place, Shiha Manor. So we have this flashback of them back to their younger days when he was with Moshi, and he had a great fear of being discovered, them two and their trysts or their relationship being discovered. And he was worried about the consequences that Moshi would face if it was ever found out that he was with a slave. He wasn't even thinking about himself. He was just like, oh my gosh, if they find out about us, what's going to happen to Moshi? And so the fear of his repercussions is why he never fully committed to Moshi, which I think is very important for us to take into consideration, because some people are like, Gumang is so mean to Moshi and it's unfair and this and that. Why is he being so mean? But when you look at the big picture, not the little one, I don't know why I needed to do that. This is another reason. And it's not to say that what Gumang did is right or wrong, because I don't think there's right or wrong in this scenario. Just understanding that Gumang, even in the past, would just be so casual and la di da di da, because he didn't want Moshi to be put in a place where he would reap consequences. Okay, because they were breaking the law, number one. Homosexuality was not allowed, and is looked down upon, and he is of noble status. So truly, what would happen to this man, if it was found out? So we get a little bit of that, and I was grateful to get more insight into why he was being mean, you know. Then we have Moshi going to the palace because he wants to relay everything to the emperor, but the emperor is I'm sick. So he ends up seeing Princess Mungsa because the eunuch is a little sneaky little conniving little thing. But anyway, we have Princess Mungsa handling the emperor's work. And I have to say, even though it's only like a sliver of a moment, it's nice to see a capable female. That's not something I'm ever like looking for in a novel, but every time I do see it, I'm going to be like, hey, because Don May focuses on men, right? It's written by women for women, at least majority written by women for women, to look at beautiful men, indulging beauty. That's what Danmei means. So to have her momentarily highlight Princess Mungsa as being this highly capable woman when it comes to national affairs and dealing with those things, it was a nice plus. The sucky part is, of course, the emperor and all the people that he has in his circle, his tiny, tiny circle, his bubble. He only trusts Princess Mungsa, but he doesn't trust her because he finds her as a trustworthy person. He trusts her because she's a woman. And a woman's capabilities or a woman's, prowess or whatever has no effect on society. Women are not change makers. And it's just kind of like, so you know that she'll never revolt or try to take your throne or something like that. And she's good at what she does. So Princess Mungza is okay. That's how I took that. And I was like, you suck, Emperor. Um, but anyway, um, speaking of Princess Mungza, we go into this realm where we learn that, of course, everyone thinks that Moshi should marry Princess Mungza because of what she did for him after the Dongting Lake incident, where Gumang was like, die, die, die. Actually, it was just one stab. But she took years off of her life and she's still sick and suffering the consequences of helping Moshi, bringing him from the brink of death. And people think he needs to repay her with what? Marriage. Because, like, what else is there? She's a woman, he's a man. So get married. Even her maid, Yuanyang, is like, you sacrificed so much for him. He should be with you. Meanwhile, Princess Mungza is like, he doesn't love me. But also, I am not about to do a transactional marriage. Like, oh, I did something for you. Now you owe me a debt. Repay your debt. And that is something that I respect because she could very well try to take advantage of that. Or she could very well be in his face like, I saved your life. Why don't you marry me? Why don't you love me? But she's not like that. So I just have to give a shout out to Meat Bun for creating a female character who I actually do respect. And I think she is a solid female character, even if she only comes in like in trickles of time. So, anyway, after he meets with her and he leaves, Princess Mungza's um handmaiden or whatever you call her, it's like he betrayed you. Did you see that ribbon on his head? It was Gumong's ribbon. And says she's reasonable, which is nice. Yeah. I think I just really appreciate us having a reasonable female character. Because most times in C dramas and in these C books, I'm gonna call them, the women are not reasonable. If a man says no, if a man rejects them, it's like, am I not pretty enough? Am I not rich enough? What is it about me that I need to change? It's like nothing. Just like I'm not interested. Like, can no be no? So after this, we have Moshi breaking into, well, I'm not gonna say he broke into. He went into the Imperial Censorate for investigation. So he wants to uncover three things. Number one, who the hell is this black garbed man? Which we all wanted to know as well. Number two, what did Gumang see on Warrior Soul Mountain? And number three, did Gumang and Lu Jianxing exchange some words before Lu Jianxing's execution? And what were those words? And I'm happy to say he was able to uncover all of those things, but we'll discuss that a little later. So he goes in there and his name is put in the record because it asks like who goes there, and he's like Moshi. So the emperor is going to find out eventually whenever it comes, and he discovers that the coffin for the exact like year and everything is destroyed. Like the jade scrolls are destroyed, so only someone powerful could have done that, which doesn't leave us with very many people. So he takes it all in his Qiankun pouch and everything, is able to escape the guards that see him because they're like, oh, it's Shihajun. So clearly, like, we're all good and everything. Um, yes, Freya. So he gets out, and where does he go? To his most trusted artificer, Jiang Yeshui. Wow. Y'all know how I feel. I don't know. I know it's illogical for me to keep holding on to this Jiang Yeshe is going to be like the bad person in this scenario or something at some point in time, or he's going to have done something bad. But I feel like if I let it go, then I'm going to turn around. And then one of these remaining volumes is going to be like, and Jiang Yeshe did such and such. So I won't let go of my suspicions, okay? I just won't. And thank you, Anne, for being on my side. He says you you might have to stay on that opinion to the yeah. Like I said yesterday, he is guilty until proven innocent. And I know that's not how we do things, but that's how I'm doing things. So now that I got that out, he goes to Jiang Yeshui and asks him to like fix these things up so that he can see the truth. Um, so here's some strange encounters. First, on the way to Jiang Yeshui, Morsi notices Mu Zhonglian's carriage shooting in a direction. And then he notices Zhou He, who's a noble close to the imperial family, them also shooting in the same direction. And he has an inkling, a little tinkling in his spirit, but he's not one to move on things like that, just like feelings and suspicions. So he doesn't go and follow them. Yeah. So they're gone, and he makes his way. Before we go to the next section of what happens, we have he arrives at the academy and he's able to be let through, and the person he runs into is none other than Mu Zhong Chuyi, who looks wretched. He looks ashamed, he looks sickly, unwell, whatever you want to call it. And of course, the assumption is he saw Jiang Yeshui. And this is a way we've never seen the beautiful Mu Zhong Chuyi. So, what happened? Before we go to what happened, let's talk about some character moments that I think are very important. So for Gumang, it's going to see again, he sees the goodness in Morsi. There's just like as he's reflecting over how Morsi has even protected him and defended him and stuff, when he came back as a traitor, he's like, this man is insane. This man still holds me in his heart. Okay, I need to like, what do I need to do to get him to let me go? And that was another thing that was mentioned, in the previous volume. He was like, you need to let me go. So Gumang finally fully comes to the realization and the conclusion that, like, yeah, Morsi still has me in his heart. For Morsi, we have him obsessed with understanding Gumang's betrayal. And he's really, really wanting to find these answers. He's very determined. And he has this thread of hope that we see Gumang himself holds guilt for the things that transpired in the past. And so, him being so desperate to find out the truth is not just to clear Gumang, hopefully clear Gumang's name, but it's to give himself some peace. Um, and then again, like I said, with Jiang Yeshui, we just have him as this sharp and observant person who it shows that he notices things more than he lets on, because he never said anything about the ribbon. He just observed and went on his way. And then with Princess Mengzi, we already pretty much talked about her, but just clear-headed, very principled, but also understands Morsi's autonomy. So we like her. Moving to chapters 111 through 114, where we are going to talk about Zhou He, the Jade Scrolls, and Jiang Yeshui. So, looking at chapter 11, we have Moshi arriving at Jiang Yeshui's place, but he sees blood on the ground, and he's like, oh my god, what the hell happened here? Well, he wasn't as dramatic as I am, but oh my god, why is there blood on the ground? Jiang Yeshua, where are you? Are you okay? Meanwhile, Jiang Yeshua comes out in his bathrobes. He's like, oh, I just took a nice little hot shower. And he's like, what happened here? And he's like, oh, nothing, just like one of my creations went a little bit insane. Suspicious. So suspicious. I'm trying to think, what does that mean when it's like, you don't find that suspicious? That's all I can think of, because the guard and says ... The guard at the front of the academy said that Jiang Yeshui was meeting with someone. But when Moshi asks, were you meeting with Mu Zhong Chuyi? He says, no. Suspicious. Okay? I'm gonna be like, if he breathes, he's suspicious. Okay. So anyway, he claims, like I said, that Mu Zhongqi never came. There was no altercation, just one of his inventions gone crazy. And then we have like it goes back to Zhou He. And we get not gonna believe that either, right? So then it goes back to Joha, and we get a little bit more on this individual. So this man is known for his indiscriminate and cruel interest in foreign magic. Doesn't matter if it's black magic, doesn't matter if it's holy magic, doesn't matter if it's somewhere in between magic. This guy just really, really likes it. And where does he arrive? At Siho Manor. He is at Morsi's place with the imperial decree to take Gumang as his black magic test subject. Um, another thing that we find out, like in this moment, in this chapter specifically, 111, is that despite Gumang having gained most of his memories, he's missing crucial memories. So in that moment when they were still at the Batcave and everything, and Morsi felt like, okay, Gumang is still hiding something. We know it's not hiding anything from his experiences in the Liao Kingdom because he's missing those memories. His gaps in memory are genuine, but there's something in his memory specifically that he's hiding. And the question is, what is it? So, anyway, despite all of that, we have at Moshi Manor Leeway. I'm thinking maybe I'm going to have Leeway as a favorite side character. We'll see as I keep reading. But Leeway, the Shiha Manor servant, the head servant, is resisting Joha and showing his loyalty and bravery because Joha is a scary person, right? But he's just like, huh, Gumang is not to be taken away if Morsi does not permit. Okay, he is the concubine of this residence, essentially, and he even goes as far as to like get Princess Mengzi here to like intervene on, Gumang's behalf, even though that was thwarted by Joha. So we see Leeway being very brave, but I think that also speaks to Morsi because Morsi is so revered, so respected, and feared that Leeway was not willing to just be like, yeah, sure, take Gumang, that's fine. He's like, heck no, not while my master is gone. So then we move to chapter 112, which I only have a couple of things to say about that. Obviously, Zhou He wants Gumang. Mu Zhonglian also wants Gumong. And he comes in dressed in his bed clothes. And he's just like, I want to do some black magic experiments on him as well, just for the fun of it. Okay. But upon seeing Mu Zhonglian, when they meet eyes, Gumong has a vision that sparks where he sees a bloody battlefield and there's confusion and despair. Like he has these dual emotions of like maniacal laughter and like ha 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 ha, but also like a deep pain. And we just assumed, or I assumed at the time I read it, that okay, clearly this is from when he was on the battlefield with the Liao Kingdom. And maybe the laughing and stuff was the portrayal of, who he had to be while he was fighting and everything. But at the same time, it's like no matter how crazy you may be, you're killing people that you once fought alongside. So that's where the great despair came from, at least when we were reading. So these two people are me because they want Gumong, but Joha is just like, okay, we're not gonna do this. You want to make this difficult? Here's my imperial edict. Huh. And when was this imperial edict given? The same day that Gumong came back into Chonghua. The first year that Gumong came back into Chonghua, he was given this edict to be the first one to claim Gumong for experiments. So that made us upset, as we were reading, and we were like, okay, so the emperor is really ruthless, okay? And I'm gonna hold that. I'm gonna hold it for it. No, I'm gonna say it now because just in case I forget, I was listening a couple days ago. I was given the movie, if you will. It was like the what do you call them? Storyboard. Yeah, the storyboard of Epic the musical, and I watched that, and I was listening to it again today, and one of the songs was "Ruthlessness is Mercy Upon Ourselves." Hopefully, I can remember to talk about that when it comes to the Emperor. Okay. I'm just saying it now. That way, when we get to a point, if I don't remember, someone be like, hey, ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves. What did you want to say about that, Kamaria? Okay, yeah. So, chapter 113, I'll trust you once more. And of course, if you remember from, I think it was the last chapter in volume 3, where Gumang asked, can you trust me again? One second. So we already knew that it was definitely Morsi who was saying that yeah, actually chapter 67, the opening chapter to volume 3, trust me once more. So okay, anyway, so we have Morsi asking Jiang Yeshui, I need you to recover these destroyed jade scrolls from the Imperial Censorate. And of course, Jiang Yeshui is like, well, in order for me to efficiently do it, like for real, I need a month. And he's like, no, you have tonight. That's it. And Jiang Yeshui is warning Moshi that, like, hey, this process, it's going to require using, like, it's the space-time gate of life and death, just like the time mirror. It's a fragment of, the bigger gate of life and death, and it severely damages the health, the body, the spiritual core. So he's like, are you sure you want to do this, my guy? And Moshi is like, on page 167, after all these twists and turns, I still choose to trust him. And so, of course, Jiang Yeshui is like, you've already trusted him once, my guy. Like, why are we doing this again? So, in this moment, because I believe that people are, there's a duality to people. Even though I suspect Jiang Yeshui, that doesn't mean that I think his concern for Moshi is fake. I think he is genuinely concerned about his friend and, like, dude, are you sure you want to do this? Because whatever it is you're going to uncover, it's going to hurt your body, right? Oh, look, Jasmine says, Mari Chan found it. Gumang smell description, volume 2, chapter 183, paragraph 3. You are so dedicated. Really? Okay, let's read it really quickly. I almost flipped to the exact page. I'm a ninja ish. Okay. Paragraph 3. And I'll make sure I grab the right volume, right? Okay. Paragraph 3. Trying to find it really quickly. But the reason Mosi had been inseparable for a long time. Wait, maybe it's paragraph 2. But the only party knew the story. Mosi certainly didn't like being touched by strangers. It was clearly an exception. Part of it was he was naive. Everything he did was He was curious. He would put a taste in his mouth. If he wanted to understand something, he would move closer for a sniff. You said paragraph 3, right? Am I on the right page? I am on the right page. Hold on. I'm not seeing it. Didn't like being touched by strangers. We do have him, like sniffing Moshi. I'm just waiting. There's a kind of smell on you. Gumang finally said, different from others. What smell? Okay, here we go. Oh, but the other reason. Gumang shook his head. I don't know. But he paused as if trying to and failing to dread an appropriate description. Haha! Here we go! Yes, very sweet. You smell like a spoonful of honey. It was clear that Morsi didn't want to continue this bizarre conversation. What else? Gumang held out the remaining half of the bun. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure he doesn't say the Jasmine part. So I was just looking a little further. Yeah. So there we have it. He smells like honey. And I'm skimming and I don't see the word Jasmine, but thank you for finding that. Now I need to put this book back. Hold on. Okay. So now let's continue. Sorry, we were derailed for a second. Um, okay. So yeah, I think the care and concern that Jiang Geshe has for him is genuine. And I even believe that there is a part of genuineness for him, from him toward like Gumong and the feelings he has there. So anyway, as we continue, again, Morsi's motivation for wanting to find out the truth. We know that he's remembers the nobles blaming him for vouching for Gumong as a loyal subject when he defected. He has this internalized guilt. He's been having nightmares of the thousands of dead soldiers accusing him of being a coward and for the betrayal. And so, again, just this Jade Scroll, he's placing his hopes in it that it will grant clarity and maybe even absolution in Gumang's loyalty to Chonghua and his innocence. That's what he's really craving. So then we get to chapter 114, in which the trials begin. And again, Jiang Yeshe expresses his concern for Morsi, fearing that it's going to take a bad toll on his body. And he's like, whatever, I don't care. And back at Shihe Manor at the same time, Mu Zhonglian, there's nothing he can do about the Imperial Edict. So what does he do? He takes a ring and he puts it on Gumong's finger. And it's a tracking ring akin to like the tracking thing that Morsi had put on Gumong before. Except this ring is very familiar to to Gumong. So the question is, why is it familiar? And why does he feel as though it should be his anyway? And of course, Mu Zhonglian didn't say anything. So what are we wanting to know in volume 5? That exact thing. What is the significance and the semblance of this ring? I want to know. So now we're going to move into the next chapters. Let me see. Mhm. Before we do that, just significant character moments, I guess. Again, I already mentioned the tracking ring for Gumong and wanting to know like the significance of that. For Zhou He, and him bringing the imperial edict, for us as the readers, we're seeing just how far the emperor will go to learn more about black magic. And it's infuriating. And we know that he wants to learn more about black magic because he wants Chonghua to flourish and to defeat the Liao kingdom. And so frustrating it is. Ruthlessness. I'm just going to keep reminding myself that way. Hopefully I won't forget. So then with Wu Zhonglian, this is another person who goes into that little obsession pool that I talked about, like the Bat Queen, like Morsi. He is obsessed, fixated on Gumong, and willing also to experiment on him. And so, what I want to know for Volume 5, I'm really hoping we'll find out in Volume 5 why he is so obsessed with Gumong in particular. We already know from earlier volumes that he dislikes Gumong because he was like a great warrior. He had a nice spiritual core, but it has to be more than that, you know? So, anyway, now we move on chapters 115 through chapters 118, where we're inside the J scrolls for the most of the time and the Emperor's orders. So in chapter 115, we go 8 years back in time to the same time that they saw in the time mirror. So I really like that we were going back to the same time, rather than, you know, some other time, because we get to put the pieces together a little easier while seeing the same things again. So he's inside the Jade Scrolls, and what does he witness? The Golden Terrace. Which, when I saw that, I was like, "Hey, Golden Terrace," the Danmei series. But anyway, this is the hardest place in the palace to access. Meanwhile, the Emperor has summoned Gumong there, and of course, he's like, "Do you hate us for what we did to you and your men, or rather, what we didn't do for them? Like, is you mad or is you upset?" You know, and Gumong is just like, what am I here for? Are we here to have this conversation? Like, what is the purpose of me being here? And the emperor starts, and this is what makes me upset about the emperor, um, is he starts with, I have a plan, like, I want to exonerate Lu Jianxing, who was falsely accused and instead became the victim of possession because of the Zhenlong chess piece, which is part of the forbidden technique where the caster refines black and white chess pieces from their own spiritual energy and they can use it to control living beings. And someone from the Liao kingdom put a chess piece in him, and that is why he acted the way that he did. So, of course, learns this truth and is like, oh my freaking God. And the emperor apologizes to Gumang on page 191. It's the first apology. And I think for me, I was shocked because what emperor apologizes? None of them do. So I was like, oh my God. Oh, and he's revealing the truth. Like he could have just let it go. Anyway, he said he wanted to exonerate Lu Jianxing. And so then one of the things I want to talk about is the recurring motif of this whole moth to flame awaiting one's death, because this has occurred at least once in every single book. So hopefully I'll remember to talk about that too. If I don't, I'll be so upset. Nevertheless, chapter 116, Lu Jianxing's injustice, we have them basically saying that those who use this technique, out of all of the forbidden techniques, this one leaves behind a trail. And so the emperor goes from saying, we want to exonerate Lu Jianxing to saying, we will certainly not let subject Lu endure injustice for nothing. And this is where I have a major problem with how the emperor decided to play out this whole thing before we, get into it. Because here he was suggesting that Lu Jianxing would not be cleared. His name wouldn't be cleared. He wouldn't be redeemed, but that his suffering would be reframed as a sacrifice for the nation. And those are two completely different things. So we have the emperor implying also that Lu Jianxing's temper, his birth, and his status made him naturally prone to killing the envoy. And I find this very problematic because it is akin to stereotyping an entire group of people as innately violent. And in this moment and throughout, the emperor just kind of reminds me of um, I mean, no offense when I say this, but I'm not talking about anyone today, unless you are someone like this today. But I'm speaking more so from the past because we're talking about people of lower birth, of lower status, and everything. But the way he spoke in this moment to me was akin to Caucasian people in the past who did have good natured views toward people of color who did not see them as lesser or anything like that, and they wanted equal rights for them and everything like that. But at some point, when interacting with a black person or a person of color, not just black people, they would say something or do something ignorant or reckless that would show their ignorance, and it was one of those things where they meant no harm, but they said something that still showed the what is the word I'm looking for? The doctrine that was instilled in them, even if it's something that they are resisting. And that's how I felt about the emperor because he wants to make a change in society. He has these big goals and things like that. And as we keep going, you'll understand more. But then he would make a statement like this. Oh, because of his temper, because of his birth, and, his lowly status, of course he's prone to killing the envoy. Like, why would you say something like that? That was very upsetting. Stacy says the emperor was really ticking me off here. Yes, I was super ticked off by the emperor. I was like, I'm finna. You want to see a temper? You want to see some violence? I got you. And I don't even fight. That's the funny thing. I've never fought before. Okay, that's another Patreon, not mine. So, anyway, he says all of that. And we also learn that Lu Jianxing is sitting in his prison and he just has this internalized guilt, right? Because he believes that he himself was truly the murderer, that he did this, he lost his temper, and he just couldn't hold himself and went shing to the Jolie envoy rather than seeing himself as a pawn. And so, of course, the emperor confesses also that Gumang and his army are the greatest inheritance that he had received from his late father, and he never wanted to lose them. But His treatment of Gumong contradicts those words. And I mean the treatment in which how he responded to Gumong when Gumong was begging for the 70,000 soldiers to have their proper burial. He was saying no to that. Even when he was in the time mirror, it don't count, but it counts. In the time mirror, he said to Morsi that he was just a dog. They were just dogs. It was their honor and privilege to die for the emperor. And stripping Gumang of his status and everything, like all of that contradicted you believing that they were your greatest inheritance, your treasure. And it was quite upsetting. Then we go to chapter 117, where more things finally start to make sense. We finally learn, Morsi finally learns something very important. But before we get to that point, the emperor keeps talking because Gumong is, he's in his feels, and the emperor decides to compare himself to Gumong and says that they are both pitiful. But he claims that Gumong is more fortunate since he still has Morsi and his army, while the emperor only has the princess, which is the only person he trusts, Yanping, the sister of Mengsa, and then Mu Zhonglian, which, come on. So to me, when we get to what the emperor asks him to do, I don't see why he made that comparison because you literally have stripped away those things from him. And not only have you stripped them away, you stripped them away in the most gruesome way possible. Anyway, the emperor decides to share his backstory when, at a month old, his mother consulted an oracle who told her that he was destined to have strife with his siblings. So afterward, what happens? All the male infants in the harem mysteriously die, and it's definitely suspected that his mother is the one who killed them. So the imperial family and everyone else views him, the now emperor, as having paved his way with blood, leaving him distrusted and isolated from everyone. There are people who probably believe that he doesn't even deserve to be where he is because he just killed everyone to get there. He didn't earn it through merits or showing that he was capable, but he was just like shing, 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 which is crazy because he wasn't the one that went shing, shing, shing. It was his mother that went shing, shing, shing. Possibly. So Jasmine says the emperor is such a cunning fox. He keeps testing people. It's so frustrating. And then Freya says, same. How is Gumang more fortunate? Yeah, like I think when it comes specifically to relationships, yes, Gumang was more fortunate, but the key word is was, because then the next thing you did was take it away from him. So relationship wise, he was more fortunate. Relationship wise, that's it. Maybe he had more peace of mind, but he went through so much strife throughout his entire life. You cannot say that Gumang was more fortunate. And that's I never like to compare people's pain or people's life circumstances because to me, it doesn't matter if you tripped over a rock or you tripped over a boulder. Everybody tripped. Everybody's in pain. So comparing pain and comparing circumstances is something I never like to do because circumstances also affect people differently as well. And I think the emperor was wrong to have compared their circumstances, especially when you don't even know Gumong's full life, what that entails. So, um we have the emperor. He admits that he has less power than people assume, which that's not surprising, that he's beset by the nobles, rivals, internal unrest, and of course the external strife. That's not surprising. We even see in the societies in the world today, of course, especially in democratic countries, the president is not the end all be all. He is not the ruler. It's all the people around him, and he is just the face, the centerpiece, if you will. So I get that. Whatever. Sure. Fine. And he states that his mission is to abolish noble privilege, get rid of the old ones, especially to reshape Chonghua, and he wants to use Gumong to achieve this goal. This is again why I said you cannot call him more fortunate to have those people, because the next thing you do after calling him more fortunate than you is order him to lose it all by feigning defection to the Liao kingdom after he would, deliver Lu Jianxing's head, thus gaining credibility, as a traitor. Because of course, Gumong was like, what could possibly happen that would turn me into a traitor? In other words, who would believe it? And he's like, this will make you believe it. Cruel. Absolutely cruel. Ruthless. So freaking ruthless. And I think now is a good time that I can say what I wanted to say. So, with me listening to Epic again, which is so good. If y'all haven't listened to it, it's on Spotify. Go listen to it. If you can find the storyboard, please go find it. I may put it up on my Patreon for you guys so you can see it. But ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves. That is what Poseidon said to Odysseus, because Odysseus refused to kill the Cyclops. He just blinded his eye. And Poseidon, he even gave the Cyclops his name. Poseidon found him because of that, because the Cyclops told on him, of course. And he killed the majority of his men, I believe. Yeah. So he was saying ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves. If you would have just killed the Cyclops, you could have avoided this, because he would have never told me who killed him. I would have never known, and you would have had a peaceful, hopefully, mostly peaceful journey back home. And so when I was listening to that this morning as I was cleaning a little bit, I was like, I'm kind of reminded of the Emperor from Remnants of Filth, because him giving the imperial decree so that he can learn more about black magic, him giving such a cruel mission to Gumang to defect, to lose everything, to be labeled as a traitor, all for the things that he wants to accomplish, is ruthless. But when you think about it from the emperor's perspective, ruthlessness is mercy upon Chonghua. Everything that he is doing, everything he wants to achieve, it's to make Chonghua safe, to make sure Chonghua reigns and is not defeated by the Liao kingdom. And so it's like, as an emperor, there's this thought process that sometimes you have to be cruel, you have to be ruthless in order to achieve what it is that you want to achieve, to make the change that you want to make. And I believe that's true in many cases, especially in the old days when things just went that way. But yeah, anyway, I just want to share that with you guys, and I'm glad I remembered. Okay, now we'll keep going. So he wants to take all of this away. And there's a line that is mentioned during that moment where it says, dying with jeweled sword in hand to repay the trust of the king's command. And this is coming from Li He's Song of the Yanman Governor. And to me, this evokes like loyalty that is bought at the cost of the soldiers' devotion and their blood. And it talks about like a jeweled sword. So not just like a regular sword, but a jeweled sword that shows that someone has some kind of like, what is the word I'm looking for? Grandeur, if you will. So I would say that, Gumang has this bejeweled sword. He's a great general. He is exceptional at what he does, and he has the complete trust of the emperor. He's like, only you are the one I can trust with this mission. This jeweled sword, and he's going out to fulfill what the king has asked him to do, to continue to show the king that you have placed your trust in the right person. Anyway, we go to chapter 118, in which the emperor, like I said, he shares his vision. And what is his vision? That slaves be allowed to cultivate, that they are seen as equals, and that black magic is recognized, not stigmatized. Not to say that people need to go around using it, but to understand it, again, to help them against the Liao kingdom, to find a way to defeat them. So those are the emperor's goals. And again, the ruthless path in order to get there. His rationale for this whole thing is that Lu Jianxing must die for credibility. Gumang must take the head to the envoy as a ruse for this ruse to succeed, because this is definitely something that would push someone to the brink. Yeah. Makes sense. Hate it, but it makes sense for this ploy. And he apologizes a third time. You guys, he apologizes a total of 5 times. And I'm just like, woo. what emperor apologizes 5 times? So it's just like I had this back and forth tug of war. I'm like, Emperor, yes, no, yes, no. I like you, I don't like you. I like you, I don't like you. 我喜欢你,我不喜欢你. So there was that. But he makes 3 promises to Gumang. The first one is that those 70,000 soldiers, they will get their gravestones on Warrior Soul Mountain. Number 2, he will protect the surviving 30,000 soldiers. And number 3, national law. One day, all the slaves will be able to cultivate and live without discrimination on them. Those were his promises to Gumang. And of course, Gumang was doubting him. He was like, you just think of us as numbers. You're calling us your treasure, but treasures are things. We are living, breathing people, or once breathing people, but now we are dead, or they are dead. And he's like, I don't believe you. And so the emperor proves his sincerity by naming specific fallen soldiers individually. And he says that he memorized these names the moment he got the list of the fallen soldiers. Another point for the emperor, but also like, gosh. And he even stops using the royal we for a moment and comes down to earth and is like, I, which highlights his sincerity. And he even helps Gumang to his feet when he's sobbing. And even when Gumang was like raising his voice at him and everything, he didn't punish him. He let him feel what he feels. Because you know how emperors be. As soon as someone talks out of turn, it's like, whip him, lash him, or something, some kind of punishment. But he was so patient and kind and being personable that I was just like, I'm having a hard time. Because you gave the imperial decree to do experiments on him. You started the conversation with saying, we're going to exonerate Lu Jianxing. Actually, no, we're not. We just won't let him die in vain. So it was really, really hard for me. And of course, on page 222, he makes his final vow. I think I just want to read it directly from here. Yeah, where he says, if General Gu accepts our requests, we swear to 3 things. First, General Gu's 30,000 soldiers will receive proper protections. Second, the law allowing slaves to cultivate in Chonghua will never be repealed. Third, we will, so that also, again, so the slaves can already cultivate. He's just saying he'll make sure that doesn't get taken away. Third, we will inter those 70,000 souls lost at Phoenix Cry Mountain with all the customary national rites upon Warrior Soul Mountain, complete with inscribed gravestones. Should we renege on any of these promises, may we live without the love of our descendants and die without a place of burial. Chonghua's fortunes will turn to ash in our hands, and we shall be condemned for all eternity. In life and death, we shall never know peace. Pretty grand vow there. So Stacy says, I feel so conflicted by this emperor. He is a really great and complex character. I still don't like him right now, but he has redeemed himself to a point. And Anne says, true. Pretty much. Oh, by the way, my hydration station has been officially given a name. NFS is not here at the moment, but the comment they left was basically, what was the name of Moshi's spiritual weapon? This thing is clearly a whale. So the official name is going to be Twintian. But I think, would it be the courtesy name, or the title will be the hydration station? The courtesy name, or whatever it is going to be Twintian. 1 second, let me, because they be having like, okay, here's the nickname, here's the title, here's the official name, all of that crap. Let me see. Yes. Yeah, birth name, courtesy name, Super K. So yeah, the Super K will be will be the hydration station. The birth name, or I'm gonna say the courtesy name, will be Twintian, and the birth name will be like Canteen or whatever, because that's what it is. So yeah, for anyone who saw, I guess, the live yesterday, I had asked to have a name for it. So Twintian it is. This is my whale. Anyway. So, um, looking at my notes really quick. Okay. Character moments before we move to the next section. I'm glad you love it, Stacy. So, with Gumang, of course, we have him witnessing the Emperor's contradictions. We all witness the Emperor's contradictions. His public harsh treatment versus his private promises. I feel like this is very important for Gumang because he has emotional vulnerability in front of the Emperor when he breaks down and sobs or when he's snapping back at him, and the Emperor showing compassion instead of punishment and everything, but him being caught in this dilemma, like it says on page 217, where he's trapped between carrot and stick and he doesn't really know what to believe. So I think it's completely rational and completely fair that Gumang himself is like, carrot stick. Like, I don't know, because that's how the emperor presented everything to him. And then, of course, when we move to Morsi, who is an observer within the Jade Scrolls, he's forced to confront these truths. He sees the emperor's manipulation in his words and how Gumang was coerced gently into his role as a traitor. Um, and the line of dying with jeweled sword in hand really resonates with him because he has his own guilt and sense of duty toward the emperor. So, and then, of course, like I said, with the emperor, he's just such an eccentric character. Very, very complex, I think, as Stacy said. And we know that he has his personal history of isolation, paranoia, and lack of trust. So, knowing that he has experienced those things, it gives us more insight to why he is the way he is. And does it make it right or wrong? No, not speaking on that. Just saying this is why the emperor is the way he is. This is why he talks the way that he talks, because of how he grew up. He essentially had no choice, if you will. But in a moment of sincerity, we got to see him be more personable. And we see that he wants to create social reform. And he just uses cruel but very practical methods to achieve his goal. So, the emperor. Moving to chapters 119 through 121, and we are almost done with these chapters, you guys. We're going to talk about brotherhood, the long winter passing. So, y'all already know these chapters were hard for me when I read them. What were the chapter names? I'm just going to look at them really quickly. Yeah, his true intent was this oath in life and death, and the long winter will pass. So, starting with chapter 119, we have Gumang still in the Jade Scrolls, still 8 years in the past. He makes one request of the Emperor, and that is he wants to tell Lu Jianxing the truth. And of course, at first, the Emperor was like, there's really no need. Like, what's done is done. Whereas Gumang is like, no, he needs to know the truth, at least. And so the Emperor permits it. Another point for the Emperor. So, anyway, we see this moment where Gumang, he goes disguised, like he's covered in everything, and he reveals the truth to Lu Jianxing. And I was oh so happy for him because there was such a weight lifted off of Lu Jianxing's shoulders to know that he wasn't truly a traitor, that someone had used him. He had been possessed and he had no choice. He had no consciousness of this, to betray his people, but in heart he really did not betray his people. And so I was just happy to see that moment for him, but also really sad because Gumang felt so crushed with guilt, and he felt like he betrayed his comrades because instead of leading them to a life of glory or riches of fame and stuff like that, or even a proper burial, he felt that he led them to their ruin. So then we learn, which is why I'm ready to get into volume 5, that Muzhong Lian had started bullying Gumang at the age of 4. My godson is 4, y'all. And I see his big brother, who's 8 years old, be mean to him sometimes. And I'm like, you better. NFS says lots to rewatch. Hi, everyone. Yes, you do. I literally just mentioned you like a couple minutes ago. because I was talking about Twintian. This is my whale. So anyway, I took your name. I saw your comment from yesterday's video. So yeah. So he was bullying Gumang from the age of 4. Now, we don't know how old Mu Lian was at that time, but I just felt so bad because then Morsi is also reflecting on Gumang's 33 years of life. He spent 20 plus years as a slave, 5 years as a traitor, and 3 years as a prisoner. So, of course, we have 20 years plus 5 years plus 3 years. That is 28 years. Well, if he lived for 33 years, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. So he lived 25 years as a slave, we're going to say, even, or maybe less than that, but some of it as just a general, like, I don't know how that time period worked out when he was a general, if he was like still owned. Well, yeah, he was still owned by Mu Lian because eventually the slave collar was removed. So we're just going to say he spent at most 25 years as a slave, mistreated by his owner, 5 years as a traitor, 3 years as a prisoner. And so Morsi really truly witnesses everything and realizes that the majority of Gumang's life is marked by suffering. No matter how positive he is, no matter how compassionate he is, how much he cares for his soldiers and other people, and Morsi and rinsing dishes in the freezing cold water till his hands are red, he has lived a life of suffering. And it's so sad. Um, And he is struck with guilt over all of the harsh things that he said to Gumang since they reconnected with each other, which honestly, I mean, I get it. There's nothing that can take away that guilt. But because he was in the dark, because he did not know the truth of so much stuff, it makes perfect sense. I would say he was justified in saying the things that he said. Also, like no one told him the truth. The emperor didn't tell him the truth. Gumang didn't tell him the truth about this mission. So he was in the right to express how he felt, even if it was wrong. He was in the right to express it. So it sucks that he feels guilt for the things that he said, but it is what it is. So then we move to chapter 120. And this is the chapter that just like completely devastated me because we have Gumang and Lu Jianqing swear brotherhood in the prison cell. It's a fleeting moment, but they're like, let's do it now. And this is the first time that Gumang has a true family bond with someone that he's been able to rely on since childhood. And it's a bittersweet oath, forced forged in tragedy and sealed with Lu Jianxing's inevitable death. And the thing that for me was so touching and heartbreaking about this moment is, of course, that I can relate to it, of having someone so consistent in your life and that really being the only person that you fully trust, and you are able to make this moment with them, but then knowing it's going to be ripped away in the end. Um, I mean, my husband won't be ripped away from me in the end. But I just think about, like, I thought about my personal life, and even with, my mother being the one to raise me and my stepfather and stuff like that, I never felt like my mother was a person, my protector, the one that I could fully put my trust in. My husband, at the age of 18 all the way up to 30, has been the most consistent person in my life. My dad wasn't there for reasons we don't need to talk about. There was my grandfather, but there were periods of time where we did not talk. And I felt isolation a lot. I was isolated from my family on my father's side, on my mother's side. It was just the people in the house and some friends that I may have, but I didn't hang out with them a lot. And so for them to have that special moment, it impacted me so deeply because I know what it's like to have that one person that you 100% deeply trust. And it was such a beautiful moment, and I was so sad that they wouldn't be able to have more beautiful moments. So moving to chapter 121, the long winter will pass, we have Morsi realizing the full agony that Gumang had to experience in his years as a spy. It's more painful than the torture of imprisonment. Um, it's it's worse, it's a life worse than death. So, Morsi had said to him before, if you're lying to me, I'm gonna give you a life worse than death. And it's like, actually, I already have experienced a life worse than death. Yeah. All of the emotions that I've truly felt, I've had to keep them suppressed. While in enemy territory, I have had to harden myself to fight my comrades, to kill my men that I have fought with. I had to keep that hidden. He had to live in constant denial of the true feelings he had and make himself cold, which really explained his distance and hardness after the time mirror. That was embedded in him after 5 years, but also he wanted to keep that up because him knowing his mission, where could things go? Where could things go? So we got that insight. And I'm gonna just tell y'all, I will never be a double agent. I will never be a spy. I'm not about that life. I am not trying to do that. I may have acted in some musicals and stuff and some plays, but I don't want to do that kind of acting. Okay? Don't need to do that. So, and if I said meat bun into the max. Yes. Meat bun is meat bunning. Oh my gosh. Yes. So, this whole narrative of this chapter, um we also get just like old the old must pass away for the new to emerge. So we also get Gumang's reinforced selflessness, and he's always prioritizing others, never himself. And in this moment, I would say that when it comes to the old must die for the new to emerge, of course, we know this won't happen because they're going to get their happy ending. But one could even say that, like, with everything that the emperor has set in place, the old would be Gumag as well. The old would be Lujan Singh, and they have to make these sacrifices and die for the new to emerge. Anyway, um, let's see. So, quick character moments before we go on. We have Lujan Singh, which it's revealed that he was loyal to the very end. um he did not express any grievances to anyone while he was in prison, because they kept asking him, what do you want, what do you want? And even after he found out the truth, he wasn't like, I need a word with the emperor or something like that. He was at peace with what was going to happen to him, and he understood. And he even said, like, Gumang, whatever you choose, I just want you to be happy. So if you're going to do what the emperor is asking you to do, go for it, my guy. Do what you do. So Lu Jianxing, another loyal subject to the emperor, you know, and the only anchor and brother figure in Gumang's life. Of course, with Morsi, we have his guilt intensifying after seeing everything, but he comes to understand Gumang, which I think this is something that is so important because Gumang had even realized that Morsi did not understand him. And now we have a moment where he finally gets to. And that is so monumental, even though it's heart wrenching for him to gain an understanding through this of seeing that Gumang's coldness and everything he's done was survival, not rejection. It wasn't him just seeking vengeance or anything like that. He's been through a lot, you know? So yeah. And then again, like I said, with Mu Zhonglian, this small but significant detail of him bullying Kumang at age 4. We need to know what's up. Okay. So now we move to chapters 122 through 126, where we are in the Asura room, doing the experiments, and trickling into the rescue. So in chapter 122, from now on into the abyss, we have Gumang being tested in the Asura room of the Sushu Terrace run by Zhou He. Now, this room was actually built from ancient Kunlun ice, and it's designed for experiments in extreme cold. Apparently, this is the best environment to experiment on people in, which scientifically, I guess, makes sense, but I don't know how to elaborate on that because I'm not a scientist. Okay. I just know that things can be preserved when they are left cold, right? Meat locker. Yes, NFS. Things are preserved when they are in the cold. So someone else can elaborate further on that. Anyway, we have Gumong's very calm composure that rattles Joe He, and he's like, "What the heck is this guy thinking?" And he's just like, "It's cold." But little does he know that Gumong has already experienced this before in the Liao Kingdom. When he first went there and said he was defecting, everybody was super excited to have this treasure of Chonghua, the General Gumong. But we have the masked man who decides, the Guosher, who is like, let's temper you. Yeah. And then after that, I'll believe you. Because this is exactly what Hua An did, the founder of the Liao Kingdom. He had all of Chonghua's cultivation stripped from his body and replaced with black magic over 3 days, which was great suffering. And Gumong endured this same suffering again, life, worse than death. This is when he got the Fey wolf put into him. Not very scientific. But right. So, um, the truth was revealed also that while Gumong was on his way to the Liao Kingdom, he did not deliver the head to the envoy, the Verily envoy. He actually gave Lu Jianqing a proper burial. And he buried it by the soul calling abyss. Anyway, the ruler of the Liao Kingdom is a 16-year-old little snot-nosed man, boy. But the true power clearly lies within the Guoshu, because even the child is like, yeah, let's wait, Guoshu, what do you have to say? So there's that. The Guoshu rules the Liao Kingdom. Okay. And let's see. Oh, we also learned that Gumong was the reason why Morsi's deployment was delayed, because he didn't want to face Morsi, because uh, he thought it would break his resolve and ruin the plans of His Highness or His Majesty. Because he's like, if Morsi comes back into town and he sees me, I'm not leaving. Probably not. So anyway, we learned that. And then we moved to chapter 123. All men are selfish. And we have that back into the present with Johe doing these experiments on Gumong. And there are three things that need to be preserved: spiritual energy flow, heart vein, and mental strength. The first two are badly damaged. Okay, that spiritual flow, chaotic. Heart vein, chaotic. But his mental strength, solid as, I was gonna say solid as a rock, because that's like an actual phrase, but rocks, it needs, it's more solid than that. What is it solid as? A mountain. That's what I'm gonna say. Solid as a mountain. His mental fortitude is like unmatched. And even Joe He is like, whoa, like how? Amazing. Fascinated by this. And so he's conducting these excruciatingly painful black magic experiments for the emperor. But what else is there? He is going to fulfill a friend's request to destroy Gumong's memories. This was not from the emperor, because if it was, it would have just said, and the emperor wanted me to do this. But no, there's this secret friend. And who is the secret friend? Who do I suspect? I think it's obvious who I suspect. I need to stop suspecting him so much. I'm sure if John Yeshua was here in person, he would just be like, what have I done to you? What have I done to you to receive such suspicion? I'm gonna think it's someone else. Who else could it be though? Like, if we go through the arsenal of people that we know, there's Mu Zhonglian, which I feel like it would not be him. I don't think it's him at all. There's the Guosher. We know the Guosher. Um, NFS says, Dom, they hurt you. It hurt me so much. Yes. And Ed's like, do I need to say it? Right. So, There's the Guoshu who's in the picture, but like, how would he and Joha be connected to be that secret friend where he erases the memories? He wouldn't need to, because it's not like Gumang remembers anything from his time in the Liao Kingdom. So who else? Obviously, it can't be Princess Mengta. Like, why Princess Mengta? We're just pulling at straws now. It can't be Li Wei. Like, what does Li Wei have to do with anything? Also, I would be very upset if it was Li Wei. Like, why? Um, it can't be Yue Chengqing, can it? No. He's too sweet and kind and naive and he said, how sexist. Princess is also kind. It can't be Princess Mengsa. Who else is there? It can't be Muzhong Chuyi. Because like why? He doesn't even care about this stuff. So no, it can't be him. It can't be Zhang Fuli. I'm literally throwing out all of the characters that have been introduced to see who it is that could possibly be the secret friend that's like, hey, erase his memories. Um, Stacy says, oh yeah, only so many people know he has some memories back. Right. I wasn't thinking about that part. Yeah. So it's like, who could it be? The only people that know he got his memories back are those people. Jiang Yeshui. And specifically, the hand clenching on his wheelchair. Jiang Yeshui. It's only him. It's only those on the island, right? Yes. So we're just gonna leave that there. That's it. We're gonna go on now that I have gotten out all of the people who know Gumong, and that not all of the people who know, not all of those people know that he recovered his memories. But I just decided to go ahead and list everybody we've been introduced so far that I can remember. And Yuanyang, the handmaiden of the princess. It can't be her, right? It can't be the old man that works for Jiang Yeshe. He's too delirious. Okay. Oh, the clay figurines. Maybe it's them. Oh my gosh. Okay, enough theorizing. It's Jiang Yeshe. So the question is, why does he want those memories erased? I'm sorry, Jiang Yeshe, but like, you're guilty. So, anyway, to erase his memories, Joha uses this method called soul chaos, in which chains are drilled into Gumang's skull while his blade Lia Ying tears out Gumang's memories. One second, y'all. I'm about to see if oh, I'm sorry. There's someone else. Chang Feng Jun. It can't be him. Okay, now I'm done. Chun Tong. I suppose it could be him. He's a mysterious character. Anyway, that's not why I came here. Right. I was looking for Joha's weapon name, which is Lia Ying. It's a pitch black dagger, but I want to see the meaning of his sword's name really quickly. So give me just a moment. Oopsie. That is not what I. Okay. It looks like I'm going to have to write the characters out on my device so we can learn what Lia Ying means. Because it's not just showing me in the book, I don't think. Lia. Oh, this is a complicated character to write. Holy shoot. Oh, I might not write this character out. Hold on. Oh god, this is too difficult to write. Okay, there's the bird character in here. I don't think I did this right. Oh, I did? Oh shoot. Okay, Lia Ying means fountain. I mean falcon, apparently. Um, let's see what Lia means by itself. it means hunting. And then Ying, so Lie is the fourth tone, Ying is the first tone, and it means eagle. So hunting eagle, falcon. Okay, the more you know. Okay. Now that I figured that out, I wanted to see if there was like some significance to the name and what it was doing. Anyway, you said NFS says, wait, I'm skipping a thought. NFS says, at first I thought the emperor wanted to erase all his traces, but it's specifically memories. There's only that one finger flex for you right now. Yeah. And then why would he let Morsi get the memories then though? Yeah, I mean, maybe because he's not in them. Because when we consider the Jade Scrolls, these memories are the interactions that Gumang has had. If Gumang has not had a specific interaction with Jiang Yeshe, then, well, it wouldn't matter, especially if he has ordered for Gumang's memories to be stolen anyway. But, even if it was the Emperor, well, man, I don't know. So, but yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you're still safe because you know what's in the Jade Scrolls, and he's not going to see anything concerning you. You won't be mentioned. Yeah. So then Anne says, well, it was mentioned that giving him those memories through destroyed scrolls could damage him internally. There's also that. So it's possible that he was like, okay, well, he's damaging himself, so I might be safe. Although we learn a little later that just because he's damaged don't mean he can't do damage still. And then NFS says also, OMG, totally off topic, but I noticed all your tabs in TGCF books. Damn. Yeah. Um, we can like segue just for a moment. So I've got volume one hardcover, which is very beautiful actually, and then two standees on the side. I have one, two, three, four, five of the, hold on. Five of the manhwas from Star Ember, of course, all of the regular translated books, and then these three are actually the Chinese version of it, which comes like with this really cool folder thingy that can open up to a really cool design, and it came with lots of stickers and posters and images and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot, and my manhwas, they also always come with bunnies. I only kept two. I threw away the other ones. Anyway, I'm gonna put that back. I need to buy the most recent two manhwas and put them on my shelf. Anyway, yeah, that's from when I was going pretty crazy about TGCF. And so I was like, I'm gonna get all TGCF. And I stopped actually at the first hardcover because I was like, do I really need to do that? Like, I could be using this money on something else, like the hardcovers of SBSSS. So anyway, that was a really quick segue, but I did not mind venturing into that. So you said so cute. It's a whole dump lore incoming. Right. Regarding the wheelchair cluster and stuff, I feel, oh, I just got me a friend to lug Chinese new books from Shanghai to Europe. Really? That's super cool. Yes, I did keep the two bunnies. They sent, like, when I get the manhwas, um, they send a bunny every single time. So I was just like, oh my God. Anyway, let us continue before we get too distracted. We can talk about other things as we finish up because we're almost done. So, anyway, Gumang is resisting the hell out of this soul chaos thing. He does not want to lose his memories again. And he's fighting so hard, and Joe can actually see that, and he's like just trying to recall these memories as they're being stripped away, because he already believed once that he truly betrayed everyone. I think that's the thing that's most heartbreaking, is that Gumang had already believed himself to be a traitor. Like, he felt the pain of that, only to get his memories back and realize that, oh, I'm not a traitor. Like, I'm not a traitor at all. You said OMG also, hold on. I thought, why did that, my writing is incoherent when I'm tired. Oh, that's okay. Totally fine. Um, so he doesn't want to lose these memories. And then the cliffhanger we get at the end of this chapter is that Moshi and Jang Yeshe break into Joha's chamber. So the other reason I find Jang Yeshe suspicious is because of this chapter. Chapter 124. Gumang and Moshi are both near death, and he gets him out there though. He even pulls out his holy weapon, like, who want a piece? Who wants a piece? Because I will, like, I will murder you all. Let me take my Guga out of here, my Shishong. And so the reason I'm suspicious is because once he leaves and everything, and Joha's like, we need to report this to the emperor, Jiang Yeshua is like, my guy, like, let's not do that or whatever, it's fine. But other than that, what else did he do? He did nothing while he was there. He just went. But why? Like, he did not contribute at all while Moshi was there. He was not needed. So I want to know what happened after Moshi and Gumang left. Okay. I'm getting off of my soapbox of him being suspicious. I could feel like I could just make a whole video off of my suspicions of John Yesha, but I won't do that. So anyway, um, there are doubts raised in Moshi's heart about the emperor and his sincerity and everything that he shared with Gumang, because he's like, if you truly cherished Gumang, why would you sanction these experiments? He's seeing him all bloodied and battered and everything, and he is livid. Livid. Um, and Gumang is clinging to these memories, and he hears Moshi saying, like, I'll trust you. I'll always trust you. I'll never leave you again. And he also wants to know, Moshi wants to know if the emperor felt guilt at letting Johe do these experiments. So anyway, the Moshi's rescue is brutal on his own body. He wielded his spiritual weapon. He hurt himself more by doing that. And then moving into chapter 125, Gumang is eventually unconscious at Shiha Manor, and he's dreaming. And in his dream, Moshi asks him to live with him, which I believe this was like a memory that he was experiencing. And he's like, I'm going to get my own independent household after Fan City campaign. And Gumang doesn't refuse. He doesn't say no. He doesn't say yes, which instills some kind of hope in Moshi, even though in Gumang's heart, he knows in the end the answer will be no. We also get this beautiful flashback of Moshi carving the lotus sigil into Gumang's neck as protection, and then Gumang doing it as well and saying, like, finish it on my behalf so we can both have this layer of protection. I was glad we were able to see that moment. And of course, we have all of these healing cultivators from Shannon Terrace struggling to save Gumang, and his body is just so strange to them, and the way that it's been tempered, and it's filled with dense yin energy as if he was cursed by thousands of people. So they are having a hard time, and they come to the realization that they cannot heal Gumang's mind. And like the prognosis, it's like he's probably going to have his memories lost. He might even lose his speech and his sight. Like, hold up, slow down. No. So, Moshi is like, we need to try to save him as much as we can. The next thing you know, there's an imperial edict that comes. And what does Moshi say? Let them wait. Okay, sure, Moshi. And then Princess Mungza arrives at the manor as well. And then we go into the chapter called Mungza's Lament. And it's in this moment where Moshi is insistent on saving Gumang despite Princess Mungza's reminder of what happened last time. Like, you were stabbed last time you vouched for this man, or you were trying to save him from making his decisions. And so she's like pleading with him by reminding him of this. Like, are you really going to risk your life again for this man? And Moshi is like, please trust me. I will tell you everything afterward, but like, I have to save him. And Princess Mungza is hurt. She is deeply hurt. I think in this moment, she finally truly realizes that Morsi does not love her. I think it's something she's always known, but maybe, just maybe there was always a sliver of hope since Morsi wasn't entertaining anyone else, since he was always kind of respectful to her. But in this moment, it was like, okay, what do I mean to you? Like, nothing, essentially. And, we also learned that she is actually one of the two grandmaster healers in Chonghua. She's a part of the three sages: virtue, mind, and wisdom. And she already, overdrew her core to save Morsi's life. And she wants to help him save Gumang this time, since Morsi is just like, I have to save him. And of course, Morsi is like, I already owe you. I don't want him to have to owe you as well. So even that makes her upset and sad, because she's like, ugh, like, are you even thinking about me? You're thinking about Gumang. You're not thinking about me. And I hate it so much. Where am I in your heart? Like, am I in there at all? Like, even just like a tiny little bit? Anyway, I'm glad she knows, though. She needs to know there's absolutely no place or in his heart, at least in the way that she wants. Like, Gumang is the most important person, period. Okay, 最重要的人, I believe that's how I would say it. Um, anyway, so we have Gumang suddenly awakening, but he's suffering a backlash from the black magic, and his life is hanging in the balance. And they're like, "Oh, he's not gonna live." And then Medicine Master Jiang arrives, and he's like the other Grandmaster healer, but he's part of the three poisons: greed, wrath, and arrogance. And I believe he is greed. Princess Mengzi was virtue, mind, wisdom. She could be all of those. I think she was virtue, um, or wisdom, or mind. I don't remember. Anyway, he's like, "Oh, you guys, don't be so sad. I'm here. I can save his life. All is well." I'm going to read the comments really quickly, since we're about to move forward. But Stacy says, "All the Lotus Sigil story completed. I was so glad to know what happened, devoting themselves to each other." Yeah. And then NFS says, "Since two men is so inconceivable in that world, maybe the devotion only now clicked to her." I do think that is the case. Yeah. Even though she didn't explicitly say, or like it wasn't explicitly written that she believes that they are gay for each other. I think, yeah, her knowing that that kind of relationship wasn't even allowed, that's not even something that would have come up into her mind, probably until this moment. Like, okay, clearly he loves this man. He loves this man so freaking much. Oh, what did I just click on? Goal. Sorry, y'all. I just clicked on something. Oh, that's what I will talk to you guys about that, but at the end, just remind me, or I'll put a whatever this thing is, talk to you guys about the super chat. So anyway, NFS also says, or she is like, "Oh, he is precious to him as he is to me." Probably. Probably. I don't know if she thinks of them in a romantic way together, or if she's thinking of Morsi and Gumang as just like super, super close to like family. Nothing come between that. We maybe we'll get more insight on that. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on. So here in character moments, of course, we are seeing again Gumang's loyalty, Gumang's absolute resilience, and his stubbornness, and not wanting to give up his memories at all, and also just knowing what he's going to face. Um, he was so calm about it. You know, I don't know if I could be calm about it. As Joe Hood said, people going into the Asura room, they would have already just entering the room been like, "Oh my God." So then, of course, an important thing to recognize from Morsi is that he just has like unwavering faith in Gumong, even though I will say, I mean, technically it did waver in the time he was gone. When he came back, he was like, "There's more to it. There's more to it. There has to be more to it. I need to confront Gumong because there has to be more to it." So him repeating this vow, of trust and everything, it was lovely. We also see Morsi being very reckless now that he's saved Gumong, now that he knows the truth, and it's just kind of like, okay, where is this going to go? Um, and let's see. I think I can move on from my notes. Yes. So now we go to the last 4 chapters. In the last 4 chapters, we have um Morsi, after making the eunuch wait for a while, finally goes to the palace to see the emperor. And he pissed is what I'm saying. Um, he the emperor goes all, I heard a story, Shihajun. Tell me if you believe it's true. And then he, talks about it and everything. He was like, and don't you think this person is pretty evil and everything? I thought so too. Until he said it was you. I was like, oh my God, y'all are too much for me. And of course, Morsi was like, are you done? I was like, Morsi. Oh God. Um, and so then he's like, I have a story too. Let me tell you everything that he saw in the Jade Scrolls, essentially. And so eventually there comes this tense moment between Morsi and Gumong, which we all know this because we just read it yesterday, right? And he's like, if you come against me, you're gonna turn into ash because remember your vow. And he's like, do you have no remorse? Like you didn't keep your promises. Meanwhile, Gumong has kept his promises. He has regained his memory and everything. And the emperor is like, I had no choice, like I'm trapped. The nobles are trapping me. If Gumong was exonerated and, the nobles might revolt, the Liao kingdom would realize his role as a spy and they would change their tactics and everything. And despite this, the emperor is like, I know that Gumong's loyal. But then Morsi is like, did you know that he got his memories back? And the emperor this is like a killing blow for the emperor. um, let's see. Stacy says Morsi was so fearless and I loved it. Yes. Then Jasmine says Morsi is done with the emperor's games. Yeah. NFS, Morsi is done with people hiding shit from him. Pardon my French. I mean, if you ask me, shit is poop. So then it's not a French word anymore. I'm a firm believer that certain cuss words that are used, they aren't cuss words depending on the context. And then in certain cases, they are curse words. That's a really random thing that I may elaborate on later, but not right now. So, anyway, once he finds out that Gumong gained his memories, he broke down, to say the least. And it was in that moment where I came to the consensus that maybe the emperor was okay with having the experiments done on Gumong because Gumong came back as an empty shell. He did not have memories. But knowing that, no, he had those experiments done and he had his memories back. Then it was kind of like, whoa, which is why I say everything just kind of unfolded too fast. When they came back from Bat Island, everything happened the same night, you guys. And maybe it went into the morning or whatever, but he went to go view the Jade Scrolls. The people rushed to his manor. Then he went there. He was trying to save Gumong. Then he went to the Emperor's palace. Like all of this was happening, like boom, 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 boom. And I feel like there wasn't a moment to breathe. There wasn't a period of time for, not to say no one was going to tell the emperor that he got his memories back, but there wasn't even a chance for like the emperor to find out Gumon got his memories back before Joe Hood was like, they're back. Let me go get my test subject. Anyway, so we see Morsi is torn because he knows that Gumong would want to see his plan through to the end, but he can't reconcile it with the sight of Gumong being so brutalized and bloodied and suffering. And then when we move into the next chapters, we have really quickly, Jasmine says the emperor got his wish. He wanted Morsi to liven up the court. You did. You finally got Morsi to liven up the court for you. Weren't you always like, oh man, I wanted you to fight back so I could deny you again? Like, here's your wish. And now you're terrified that this man is gonna like murk you. So anyway, um, Morsi is pressing the emperor because he's pissed. And it's revealed that the emperor was told by his father, like, hey, the Moy clan won't betray you or take your throne or anything, but if you do something and they think it's wrong and goes against their morals, baby, you're in for it. So anyway, he, is just talking more to the emperor about Gumang having his memories back, and the emperor is devastated. And the emperor discloses there's one jade scroll left and I need to show it to you. And he's like, I personally do not believe that I had no intent to keep my promises. I full well had intent to keep my promises. And this is where I feel like fall in love, but y'all know what I mean when I say I fall in love with the emperor, because I'm like, yeah. No, he greatly redeemed himself in these chapters, and we're going to discuss that. But really quickly, NFS says Gumang was returned as a non-diffusable ticking bomb, basically, right? Yeah. Was this what Azura Room was about? Asura, sorry, I meant to say, I was reading Azure, but Asura Room was about, and did I get that right? Well, let's keep discussing to see. So they go to this transfiguring pool, which I was very happy about, because hearing there was another jade scroll, I was like, I don't think Morsi could take um another attack to his spiritual core. And at first, I thought the emperor was actually tricking him and like, oh, there's one more jade scroll. Come look at my jade scroll. Only for like Morsi's core to be completely shattered, and then he wouldn't have to worry about like being killed by him or something. That's what I thought. You said the emperor was trying to defuse Gumong. That's essentially what ends up being the case. And you were so worried about Morsi, lol. So we have them looking into this pool, then the fog appears upon them and everything. And we discover that the black garbed man was the emperor himself. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty cool. Meat bun. That was pretty cool. And yeah. He's the black garbed man that met him at the Apricot Mansion or villa, or the Apricot brothel, whatever it was called. And he's the one that took Gumang to the Warrior Soul Mountain, specifically to the Forbidden Area. And what do we see in the Forbidden Area? The 70,000 tombstones of the slave soldiers that had died, all of their names carved by the Emperor himself. And the password, if you will, to get into this place is an acknowledgement of their sacrifice. And I thought I had it put here, but for some reason it's missing. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to go to it. I ask you to hear me out. Okay. Yes. The thing at the grave, I guess, or whatever, it was arrived at the barrier that guarded the forbidden area. Raising a hand, the emperor cut his own palm, smearing fresh blood onto the array. And it was absorbed into the magical array, and a voice rumbled from the depths of the earth, seemingly, and said, "Courageous achievements immortalized in stone." And the emperor answered, "Graves of commoner heroes carved with names." I'm not gonna lie. The emperor got all of my respect back. That was like teeter-tottering. I'm like, I'm with the emperor, I'm not with the emperor, I'm with the emperor, I'm not with the emperor. He got it back. He brought Gumang to see his 70,000 soldiers before he got blood on his hands. And that was so monumental. I think that was exactly what Gumang needed to solidify his determination to do this mission. Because Gumang had not done anything yet to prove that he would do what the emperor wanted him to do, but the emperor had already fulfilled one promise to him without the 100% guarantee that Gumang would follow through on his promise to be a spy. And so that to me spoke volumes on the emperor. Um it kind of reminds me of when you are wanting someone's services and you give them a deposit before they even give you the service because you trust them to fulfill it. Um, yeah, essentially, like he put in his deposit with Gumong, and I appreciated that so much. Uh, so then we have Gumong's, kowtowing to them and like you've come home and everything, which was so moving. Had me break down yesterday and everything. And then he has his final request of the emperor, his final requests, multiple of the emperor, which he says that if he never returns, to not build him a tombstone because he feels he would be unworthy because he was a spy who killed his comrades and he doesn't deserve to be have a tombstone erected near them. He also wants the emperor to show leniency to Morsi if his grief leads him to be disrespectful, um, and to never reveal the truth to Morsi. And then he also asks to use, which of course the emperor grants all of those. Then he asks the emperor to use his holy weapon to play the soul calling song to his soldiers. That's a big ask to use someone's holy weapon, but not just someone, the emperor's holy weapon. And the emperor says yes. He's like, everything you're asking me, with you being so loyal, how could I not give you everything you ask for? And so he lets him play the soul calling song for his soldiers and even ends up playing afterward as well, which I think garners even more respect because the emperor played for them. The emperor doesn't have to play for anybody, so it was just like, oh my God. Such a moving moment. And, like I said, the emperor honored these requests. And he even said that, as after Gumang made lots of requests, actually, of the emperor. And he even asked, like, can you visit their tombstones with wine and food? Just give them Shaodao because they won't drink any expensive wine. And, all of these nobles and all of these people were thinking, oh, slaves are just waiting for their day to strike, to revolt, to rebel. But really, their greatest dream was just to have a meal, like a full meal that would fill their bellies because we were hungry, compared to all of the other armies out there or all of the other soldiers that had, nobler rulers that got more money and could exquisitely dine, wine and dine. We were like not wine and dine, but like Kool-Aid and I don't know, a chicken bone or something. I don't know. Kool-Aid, for those of you who don't know, is a really cheap sugary powder that you put in the water, mix it up to make juice. Not very good for you. Anyway, let me read a couple of comments first. You suspect the graves were behind the barrier at some point. Ah, when did you start suspecting, or do you not remember? So I thought it might be it. Good job seeding it, Meat Bun. Absolutely. Because I was like, what is behind that barrier? What did Gumong see? Because I used to think that he saw something absolutely tragic or like something horrible about Chonghua or something that pushed him to the brink. That was not the case. So that is what that is. Um, and then you said, man might be emperor, that is. Chef kiss. Yes. Stacy says the graveside scene really hit me in the heart. Right? So in the heart. It was a very powerful moment. So revealing about Gumong, his men, and the emperor. Beautiful. Anne says, even though Gumong asked too much, the emperor still tried to keep these promises, and for that I admire him. Yeah, I say maybe Gumang thinks that what he did is worth it for everything that he got. But when you look at what he had to suffer and endure for everything that he got, or in the promises that the emperor is keeping. So the emperor is vowing to never repeal slaves from being able to cultivate. He wants equality for all of them. He is vowing to protect the remaining 30,000 soldiers, to give the 70,000 soldiers a proper tombstone. He's going to make sure that he is lenient with Morsi, even if he is like going a bit disrespectful. He will not reveal the truth to Morsi. He let the man use his holy weapon. He played the Suwana himself. He vowed that he would bring them food and wine. Like, he gave more Gumong so much. How can I not have respect for this emperor? Yeah. So there was that. And then we move to chapter 29 to chapter 30, where basically, one second. Yeah, where basically the emperor admits to Morsi the shame he feels for what Gumang has had to endure. It's like, even though he knows they had to do it, doesn't mean that he doesn't feel shame. And then, of course, the public is like curious because everybody knows, because rumors spread really fast. Everybody knows that Morsi defied the emperor's imperial edict. And they're all like, "Ooh, what happened? What happened?" But they're like, "Oh, he only got 3 days house arrest." But really, I don't think he got 3 days house arrest. I think it was just worded that way. But really, Morsi just needed the rest. For real. Um, you said you have no idea when you began to suspect. Okay, once I got used to how it feels to pull down Meat Bun's wallpapers. I see. Once I figured Gumang was on a secret mission. I like how you spelled secret. And dangling bits of thread kind of fit, maybe. No, I definitely get that. I think once you read enough Meat Bun, you start to like notice some things, because I definitely felt that way. Like when I was reading Arha, there were certain things that I was just like, this, mm, that, so yeah. And even me, when I was reading, because I read Arha, I already knew that Gumang was not a traitor. I was like, there's no way. There's a deeper story, and we just need to figure out what it is. You said that's the only thing Gumang cares for enough to do that stuff for, yeah, that's all he cares about. He cares about everybody else, but not himself. And that's great, but also terrible. So, Morsi is within the confines of the Shiho Manor, and he's reading this really thick stack of intelligence reports that Gumang sent in secret to the emperor in his 5 years. And we see like his notes go from like, "Oh, I've arrived, had a slight difficulty, this is that," to, "Oh, they're planning to do this. Please prepare the Lan city residents, like be merciful," to, "Oh my God, I cannot fight Morsi again," to, "Oh my gosh, I'm about to fight my comrades. Oh my God, I'm a guilty subject goo." So you like see the deterioration within his writing, even literally within it, because Morsi was saying that it started to get really messy and really jagged toward the end. So he reported again that he had a slight difficulty, which is later revealed as, oh, not a slight difficulty, but the tempering that he was forced to endure. Whoa. Anyway, so you know, sorry, I kind of summed up all my notes right there. Now I gotta figure out where I left off. Oh, so he predicted that, the Liao kingdom was going to destroy him and return him as a peace offering, and confessed that he believes he needed to be used, experimented on for a black magic testing, because it could unravel secrets of the Liao kingdom. He instructed the emperor to use him for this purpose. So we learn the emperor has not done a single thing wrong. And that's pretty crazy. But, now that I'm thinking about it, I hope the emperor doesn't disappoint me, but it makes sense. The emperor has lived his life in isolation and in paranoia, and with very few people that he trusts. And here it is, we have Gumong, this loyal subject who has never shown his eyes to be facing the throne to overtake it. He has been nothing but loyal to this man. And so I can believe that the emperor truly cherishes him, because it's like, I might not be friends with Gumong, but this is someone I don't have to be paranoid with, someone that I can trust, someone I know who has my back. And that's something that the emperor is longing for. And he's getting that in Gumong, so man. But anyway, um, the emperor did not do anything wrong. Now, meanwhile, the Liao Kingdom sent him as a peace offering, but I think they really sent him as a weapon, because they realized his demonic energy could not be controlled anymore, but they didn't dare kill him as it was written. And so they sent him to the Liao Kingdom. And there's only going to come a day when he finally erupts, explodes, and there's no telling what will happen. But the emperor said that that will be the downfall of Gumong and Chonghua. So they didn't send no peace offering. They sent a time bomb. That's what they sent. NFS says all of Danmei have that theme that only person the emperor can fully trust are people they assign to a position themselves. Yeah. And again, it goes back to that line about the jeweled sword and everything and the king's command. So that is Gumong in this case, a slave, a former slave, but slave again, whatever. Then you say, hey, I have a potentially spoilery theory to throw at y'all regarding that weapon sneak. Have you read all of YuWu? Because if you haven't, it wouldn't be a spoiler. It would be you theorizing. And if that is what ends up being the case, then that is the case. But if you've read all of YuWu, then I ask you to use discretion in what you say. So, by all means, share it then, since you said, nah, okay, yeah, share your theory. It's not spoiler if you don't know. Yeah, I'll wait for you to share it before I continue on the last chapter. Actually, no, because I literally only have rather terrified. I'm gonna share my last notes and then I'll come back to your spoiler, because it's literally just about chapter 30. So we have this moment of breath that Meatbun gave us, because she kind of loves her fans, her readers, maybe just a little bit, where we have Jiang Fu Li, after 3 days, finally succeeds in saving Gumang's life, and he's tired, but he does warn that Gumang cannot sustain a fourth, like, psychotic attack or shock that it will completely destroy him. And he clarifies that the time mirror basically gave him borrowed memories. Like, after a month or so, these memories will go away. They're going to start to trickle away. And it was just like a flashback, you know? And he also suspects that Gumang was a spy, but doesn't ask Moshi to confirm or deny. But he's just like, I mean, you. He's holding on. His mental fortitude is so strong. If he were literally just a traitor, there would be no need for him to hold on to this so hard. So he must be a spy. And Moshi is just like, he's not confirming nor denying. And Jiang Fuli's like, take care of him. That's all I can say. I can see he is not an evil person. And that was the nicest moment we've seen from Jiang Fuli. I also thought it was interesting that, Moshi thanked him, and Jiang Fuli was like, this was my job. I was paid to do that. You don't need to thank me. I find people say that a lot. Um, and I don't like it. Just because something is your job doesn't mean that people can't express gratitude or can't feel gratitude, because at the end of the day, I could easily go to a store and it's a person's job to give me great customer service and they don't. So it's like, you were given money to do this job and you did the job. So I am thanking you for doing the job and doing it well. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. Now, again, then we have the book closing on a very calm note, where we just get like a little glimpse into everyone's life at night. what's happening in the Imperial Palace with the Emperor, at the Yuan Manor, Jiang Manor, Wangshu Manor, Shihe Manor, and it's just like this pause of breath after all of this relentless intensity and tidal wave of emotions that we have been through. Um, man, it's just so much. So in these character moments, with starting with Gumong, we see that, his final requests reveal his compassion and humanity and humility and even guilt. Um, we also get his intelligence reports and seeing just how steadfast in his loyalty he's being. He's giving you this information while he's there, risking his life, you know. And then when it comes to Morsi, his character moment really is risking imperial punishment by doing what he did and possibly risking his life to stand by his man. Um, and then, struggling between the truths of everything, reading the reports and all of that. And then, of course, we have the emperor, who is this complex character bound by noble control, but doing everything he can to be an honorable man, you know. And so appreciating him. Um, and then Jiang Fuli, like I said, he saves Gumong. We see him have like a nicer moment, and he seems to have a little bit of wisdom, or oh, not wisdom, discernment. So that's it for volume 4. We've gone through all of my notes, and it took much longer than I anticipated. Okay, so let's see what you said. You're scared that this whole altar of the beast, beast of the altar, will come true. Yeah. So, I mean, I think I said at some point, I was like, well, Gumang really is the beast of the altar. He's the sacrificial lamb that's like taking the blame for stuff. I can't remember when I said that, in like volume 2 or 3. But yes, the ending was really cool. I like how she is setting up the next volume. Yeah. Um Yeah, because I called Gumong a sacrificial lamb. That is the way I see him. I hate to make this comparison, but I'm gonna do it anyway. It's like rem thinking about Jesus. The sacrificial lamb. That is what Gumong is in this scenario, but not for the whole world, just for Chonghua. So anyway, yeah. Uh, and also Shelian. Yes, Shelian is also a sacrificial lamb. It's like stab, 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 stab some more, and all the stuff that he went through. Man, but you're curious of the other patient that has the same birthmark he saw on Gumong. And then in the NFS says, yeah, I forgot about that one. The birthmark, the same birthmark we saw on Gumong. What was this birthmark again? What was that? Enlighten me again, because I can't remember everything. But NFS says it was a really lovely epilogue. Jasmine says, and why was he urgently packing? What did Yeah, I do want to know why he was urgently packing and where he was intending on going. I forgot to mention that because I was like, where are you going? What you doing? Actually, let me type that so I don't forget it. Mm, I'm leaving. Is he going, and what is he doing? But I only hope that it's for something good, you know. You said you were trying to remember, but you can't. Need to reread the whole thing. Somewhere on his arm, a flower. Mm. It was when he was examining Gumong, right? That was the first mention of it. So I guess I just need to go back and reread those specific chapters to see. But okay, we have reached the end of all of that. So something, I guess, because they were like, you need to let people know, and I was like, okay, but it just feels really weird, so I'm gonna put it out there. I wanted to show you guys this like super chat thing or whatever. um I'm not sure if y'all be able to see this, but apparently Like, I'm literally just sharing my screen. Holy guacamole. Okay. I'll not share that because that looks crazy. But basically, so I've become monetized on YouTube now. I'm not doing any like memberships and stuff like that because it's too chaotic with trying to like do Patreon and that as well. But apparently during lives, you all are more than welcome. Not the infinity loop. I don't know what happened there. I was like, wait, I'm gonna try again. Um, Actually, let me try from like a different screen. Let's do that because I don't know what was going on. But you super chat and basically here you can click on this thingy and do a super sticker or a super chat, which of course you've got stickers to choose from, whatever. So many things. I haven't even ventured and looked into this stuff. Or you can put like your comment here, however much you want to give, even if it's literally $1, and then type out whatever you want to say. That's what I just typed. It's doing the thingy again. Okay. But yeah, basically that's all that is. And yeah, because I accidentally clicked on goal, I guess, while I was talking to you all. And I was like, what did I click on? And it was like, make super chat more fun with a goal. So apparently I have to look into what that is. And I can't do that e- until I'm on a live session. So apparently, set a goal to engage with your audience in a new way. Once you reach your goal, celebrate with your community. So basically, I had to pick a goal of a number of super chats to get. Um, Choose a super chat color that counts. Okay, set a timer, ask you all a question, and then allow you guys to answer it or something like that. Very interesting. So anyway, I just want to let you guys know that you can do that now, and you can even do that off of live sessions. Like you can go to a reading, a video I did, and you can leave a super comment, and it'll be like highlighted in green up at the top. And of course, I comment and stuff anyway. But I'm literally just telling you guys this once and showing you guys once, and then I'm done because the money is not the important aspect to me. Um, Plus we're almost at 1,000 subscribers, so I'll be monetized automatically anyway when the whole ad thing comes, which I'm going to try to position those, just so you know, in a way that doesn't interrupt the live sessions like in inconvenient times. I will do that from the 1,000 subscribers on out. I may slowly go back to old videos and do that, but that would be a lot of work because I've done over 200 videos now apparently. Um, I think it was close to like 250. But anyway, so that was that. Anyway, let's see what the comments are saying. Not the infinity loop. Oh, I already read that. Yeah, that was crazy. And the Jasmine says, NFS, yeah, it was. Moshi said he had it since he was young. So I need to go back and look at that again. Yes. So now is the time for you guys to ask a couple of questions if you need. Oh, the petal shaped mark. Oh, so I think I read that, but I think in the moment that I read it, I thought he was talking about the lotus sigil because he said he saw it on someone else and he thought maybe he was mistaken. And I was like, Morsi? Because they both have the lotus sigil. But thank you for saying that. Because so that's why I couldn't remember because that's how I regarded that in my brain. But now that we think about it, if that is some when he's saying he's had it since he was young, I'm wondering if he means since he was young like a little kid or if he means since he was young as in like 8 years ago, because that does make a difference. So if he was talking about that, he said it was on his neck, right? I can't remember. Let me see. I'm gonna try to find this while we're here. Okay, I'm gonna just like speed skim. Enter. Good news, my lord. John Philippe was under the pillar. Mostly sat down. Greetings. How's my shushong? Sit down. Not gonna talk unless you sit. Let me ask you first. Black magic memories. Concern myself. Time mirror. John Philippe was silent for a moment. Flashback correct. Lucidity. You guys like how I'm reading, by the way. Before you paused and continued. He shadowed most. He was alarmed for spending the plenary, but I paid with my no need for thanks. Absolute shock. How could it be? He lacks 3 souls. He really put it into perspective as well, like just laying it all out, all that Gumang has suffered. He was like, hey, he lacks 2 souls. Then second, an ancient godly mirror forcibly returned some of his memories. Third, Joha cut into his brain. I was like, oh yeah, that was a lot. He's like, this man is extraordinarily strong. Anyway, in truth, as a healer, I can't imagine almond eyes watching the pond. Page 301. Was it page 301? So it wasn't at the end. Okay. You are on it, Jasmine. She's like, the mysteries we must uncover at top speed. So yes, rush back to Jong. Saw that flicker of golden note at the very end of 301. Okay. The medicine master frowned as he examined a spot on Gumang's arm. Okay. This petal-shaped mark. All right, I'm just going to have to pull a sticky note out of a random thingy so we can come back to this. Okay, so that is something we need to uncover. Maybe we will uncover this in book 5. I'm always hoping things will be uncovered in book 5 now. Everything needs to be uncovered in that book. So, ballad cameo. Yes, I actually thought about going ahead and like reading the first volume now or before we get to next year so that I can like get the characters in my head of how I want them to sound. And I'm wondering if that's something I should start doing in general, just like reading the first volume of every book that I plan on reading here by myself in my head to try to form the characters and everything, because it's hard trying to voice people like when I'm first reading. Um and then like I was watching Kictor's video summing up volume 1 and there were so many people and I was like, yeah, I think I need to read this. Just at least the first volume by myself. So you said you do it so well though. Thank you very much. It's funny because I used to want to be a voice actor. I used to want to be a lot of stuff when I was little, and they were all artsy things. I wanted to be a singer, performer in music theater, an artist, a fashion designer, a voice actor. Like nothing just like I want to be a scientist or I don't know, something like that. I genuinely find it listening to books so hard usually. Well, I'm glad that I make it easy for you. That is always my goal, to make it as easy and enjoyable as possible. And it's not perfect, but I do what I can. So now I'm willing to, spend a little bit more time with you guys. If you have questions, whether it is pertaining to Remnants of Filth or literally anything else. I always enjoy these chats with you guys. Like sometimes I'm reluctant to leave when we're done because I'm like, anybody have anything to say? So I'll give you all a second to like express some thoughts or whatever if you want. Or questions. It doesn't have to be about Remnants. It can literally be about anything. Also, look at this. Isn't this cute? Oops. This is something that came with my manhwa, I believe. No, this came with I don't remember. It's supposed to move back and forth, but I taped it so that it will stay still. But this little gap here, Shelly Ann would be able to move back and forth. But I was like, no, he wants to be as close to Samang as possible. He said, oh, that's so cute. Right? So just a reminder, on the 22nd, I'm going on vacation all the way to the 29th. So don't anticipate any readings from me outside of 3 specific things, which those of you on Patreon live yesterday, you got a sneak peek at it. That is, of course, I'm doing a reading of a chapter some of a chapter that was requested from TGCF, a reading from SVSSS, and a reading from Arha. And that'll be released Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Those are the only things for you all to anticipate from me. Now, that doesn't mean that nothing else can be provided, but it's not guaranteed. And I only say that because, of course, I'm still here today. I'm still here Sunday. And even Monday, I don't leave for the airport um until like 1 p.m. And a lot of times I do my readings and recordings and stuff in the morning. So it just depends on how I feel and everything like that. If I even give you like a little sneak peek. Um but yeah, don't anticipate anything. You said I can't wait for SVSSS box set. Yeah, once we move, I will be purchasing mine. I am so ready to have it. Like I've been enjoying rereading it, and I'm taking my notes so that I can do just like one culmination video in the end. But I think those of you who are on Patreon, you're really gonna enjoy it because it's a really good series, and there is so much embedded in that story that I don't even know if MXDX was thinking about all of this when she wrote it. And I mean that like wholeheartedly as a writer myself. Sometimes the things that you come up with, it's happenstance, but people outside make these connections. But it's like our brains are already wired to be so complex and put things together that we're not always intentionally doing certain things. They just happen to like unfold that way. So NFS says, is it easier for you to commit to a series which are already completely out? Yes. Or do you like dipping toes in volume one so you can drop it if you don't vibe? Also, I still kind of feel SVSSS must be scam. Wait, what? Why? Um, so yes, I personally find it a lot easier to commit to a series that's already out, mostly because I'm impatient when it comes to reading. I'm a patient person in general, except for when it comes to my entertainment. And I hate reading and then having to stop and then go back. And the reason being is because when I have to stop, then eventually I have to go back and re-listen because I've already gotten myself into the zone of another set of characters for another series. But to put myself back in the state of very soon, Feng Xiao, Cui Buchu, and Pei Jingjia, and Xiao Xian, and all of them, then I have to go back and listen again. Usually only to like the second to last, I mean, the last volume that I read, but it makes it very difficult for me in that regard. But I know that not all of the books are released, so I'm just gonna have to, deal with it as I'm reading on my channel. So that's probably the hardest thing for me. Um, yeah. But I think that is also what will probably encourage me to read more unpublished Danmei, because those will be finished and I'll be like reading those while waiting for some things to come to fruition, come to pass or whatever. So we'll see about that. Cause I read Motsun Ye Shangzhudao, Devil Venerable also wants to know. Um and I just haven't come upon another unpublished Danmei that I want to read next. Also, I mean, the majority of next year's schedule is already made, but we don't know because with next year I'll be out of school. So maybe I'll have more time to read. And maybe I can read multiple things. We'll see. Don't quote me on that. Not at all. But we'll see. So that's to answer that question. SBSSS fandom be traumatized. Yeah, I have seen some pretty crazy things because we're just so desperate and really, really want more, but we're not getting more. And then you said, then be careful with Ballad because I don't think it's out fully yet. Yeah, I already know all of the things that are slated for next year. They are not yet finished, but and I even like put when we did the vote just how many out of all of the books would be released by the time we got to January. So by the time we get to January, I think half of Jiu will be finished. It is what it is. It is what it is with that one. So many Don May are coming out. Yeah. So for me, I'm glad to know that they are getting more Danmei and releasing it to the world. But what I don't like is that so many other Danmei are being done instead of like focusing on a select number of Danmei to complete and then start anew. Like if we could, I don't know the inner workings of publishing and stuff, but if they could just like focus on these series first, maybe instead of releasing them every 4 months or every 3 months, maybe every 2 months, if the translators can just focus on those and then bring out new series, that would actually make me a much happier person, because even like revenue wise, I'm sure I'm not the only person who thinks this way, but there are many people who aren't purchasing these books until they're all out. So you're putting out the books and then they're not selling as much because people are waiting. And then that may also be the case and sometimes why some books aren't getting a special edition because they're not like really receiving any money from them. So that's just my personal, like I said, I don't know the ins and outs. I could be completely wrong, but I know a big group of people who don't purchase the books until they are all out. And that's money that in the moment is not gained. So many, if you start reading more, I will be in trouble. Haha. Yeah, if I read more, it literally, I mean like two. And even though I mean reading more, what I wouldn't be publishing videos of two different Danmei series at a time. What I would be doing is reading one series to you all and then reading another one, recording it and scheduling it for later. That way I didn't feel pressured to have to finish it like in a certain point of time or feel like I'm flipping back and forth. Like that's what I'm doing with SBSSS now. I'm just reading it in my own pace. I've got what I had what August, no, September, October, November, December, and even January to read it. 5 months to read 4 volumes, and then I'll release it in accordance to the schedule that I made, which is 1 chapter a day because it's 31 chapters, 31 days in January. So, that will get more content out to you guys and more content for me to read, which is fun. So, yeah. You said NFS says on Seven Seas, it says 8 volumes and no seven is announced in April 2026. So I haven't even looked beyond January of this next year. So I have no idea. I just know that we'll be like half through or something like that. But it's okay. It's okay. Um, What else you said? You're gonna go insane. You would keep working, you would keep it steady for YouTube algorithm to give yourself buffer. Yeah. And Jasmine says, I hope they are thick volumes. The wait between volumes is horrible. So, just from what people have observed, what we have observed, the volumes are not getting thicker. If anything, they've only gotten smaller. Um, I hope that's not the case with all volumes, but like when you look at, mm, okay, here is volume 4. I'll do it this way of Remnants of Filth. Here's volume 5. You can already see a difference in thickness. Here's, oops, volume 6, also still thinner, and even volume 7. They're all thinner. To put it into page numbers, because thinness isn't just from page numbers, it's also from page quality, which has gone down. And the thinner the pages are, the thinner the book is. So it might not necessarily be like page count. Like for Thousand Autumns, I think book 4 is thicker than book 5, but there are more pages in book 5, or one of those. I can't remember. So in volume 4 of YuWu, it is, not counting like the index, glossary, and all that crap in the back, 348 pages. Volume 5, like I said, doesn't even reach 300. It goes to 289. Volume 6, 310 basically. Volume 7, Oh, we have a Chinese note in the back. I won't be reading that one because it's entirely too long, but it is 340 pages. So I guess that one is more normal. So yeah, that's that. Um, Sounds like a great plan. Ballad is bingeable and it's annoying. I'm nervous about the Ballad of Sword and Wine actually because I've just heard from many people that it's like hard to understand. And I love political intrigue, by the way. Like I think it's the bee's knees. So like even on Kictor's channel, Stitch said that she had to read it twice before she fully understood even like the first volume alone. So I feel like for Ballad of Sword and Wine, I might not have a lot to say at the end of those. It might be one of those things where I take notes and I'm really going to have to re-listen to things. Like it's going to be quite a journey, I think, with Qiangjingju. We shall see. Which, by the way, Qiangjingju is an actual poem by Li Bai. And it's an amazing poem. I love it so much. Um, let's see, too big of a difference in the pages. Yeah. I wonder how they divided considering web novels work so differently. He said, this is indeed annoying, says the one who can read books in 1 to 2 days in free time. Yeah. When I read TGCF, I inhaled those books like in a day. At that point in life, I wasn't really doing anything. So I was like, okay, one book done, day one done. Stayed up so late. Um, then NFS says, or rather, how they choose to divide it. I do wonder how they think of like, okay, this is where we'll end this novel versus this is where we'll end this one. And I have to say, ultimately, I have not been disappointed by where they decide to do the breaks. Um, so there's that. NFS says, I read like a maniac, lol, when I do hyperfixation. Mine too. It's healthy for me. Me as well. It's very healthy to read a lot. I read so freaking much. I read every single day. But then the other thing that I do is create my own little stories pretty much every single day as well. So, but I still count it as reading because I have to read what AI puts. So, and Anne says same here. So all of us are readaholics. Mm, 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 mm. Glad you're not alone. Yeah. You said you're old. It doesn't matter. If you're a little kid or you're in your midlife crisis or you're old as dust, reading is fundamental. Reading is good for the soul. Reading is amazing. You felt like a freak a moment ago. I be feeling like a freak all the time. I'm like, if people knew how I spent my daily life, they'd probably be like, "Girl, you need some friends." And I'd be like, "I have them. I do." So he said, "Oh, I didn't know that. You could start with a poem video then." Or are you talking about the poem for Qiangjingju? I actually read it once. Hold on 1 second, actually. So when I was studying Mandarin, I had these boxes that can hold like 1,500 cards. Aha, this is the one. As you can see, I have so many cards I'm going to have to review again because I have not been diligent. And there are cards in the other one as well. Oh my God. Here's the other box of cards. Oh my gosh. Like, what does this even say? Shumagui. Oh, that's what the hell. Anyway, so here's the poem, and I came across it because of Qing Yunian, which is Joy of Life. It's one of my favorite C dramas, but the main character was doing lots of poems, and he was labeled like the poem god, basically. But it was transmigration, so he went back in time, and he was just quoting poems for people in the in the future. But I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I'm just gonna read a little bit. But Qiangjingju by Li Bai. And it says, 君不见黄河之水天上来，奔流到海不复回。君不见高堂明镜悲白发，朝如青丝暮成雪。人生得意须尽欢，莫使金樽空对月。天生我材必有用. My favorite line. 千金散尽还复来. So those are the lines that he read. And I'll read this again. I will do a video of this like when we're actually in Cheongjinju, where maybe I just dissect the poem and everything for you guys. But I'll tell you guys what it means because it's literally my favorite poem so much. I even did a video of like me and him at the same time. It was years ago. I have to find it. But let's see. You said, I'm an ode as I read a lot to know. I don't find ballad hard to follow. Okay, that's good. It is complex and it keeps my ADHD brain itch all scratched and happy. Okay, that's good to know. They do keep telling the same about more social life. I have some. Yeah, I think people just think just because you don't go out all the time means you don't have a social life. But this is social. My groups, like on my Patreon, I have now different chats, like basically like Discord, which won't be launching soon. So don't ask right now. But we have different chats that I've made now. I have a chat, I talk to people. I'm just not always going out. So, the way people stereotype or think how you should do something, it really doesn't matter at all. And if it says it's a horde, my mom got annoyed, Freya says, because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I just read as many books as I could. Yeah. Jasmine says the workers at the library I frequent always question why I am back so soon. The library at my parents' house is already though, says and yeah, I'm trying to make my own library. Like I know I have almost 100 Danmei books, but I have so many other books as well. So they say you have to have 1,000 books to be considered a library. I saw a video of someone saying any number is a library, but she settled on 750. So once I get to 750, I'll have my own library. It says, when I was in high school, I'd go to the library before school and read during school hours, return books at the end of the day. Dang, and take a new one home. That's so crazy. That's lovely. I mean, crazy in a good way. So yeah, just so like the most famous lines from this poem. So, 君不见黄河之水天上来 just means, yeah, time to buy another bookcase. Do you not see the yellow river of water sky on comes or is coming? And then, 奔流到海不复回 is return to the sea, rush to the sea, never to return. I'm not gonna read the rest of it, but can you not see um the high hall where the bright mirror of Gao Ting Mingjing has white hair? I'm just gonna go to my favorite parts. Yes. So 人生得意须尽欢 means the pride of life is having fun. Reading. No, I didn't say it's having fun reading. 莫使金樽空对月. So do not lift an empty wine cup to the moon. Basically, like when Chinese people, when they're drinking, they say ganbei, which means to dry your cup. So drink it all. Have the time of your life. But my absolute favorite line from this poem is 天生我材必有用, which means heaven birthed my talent. I must have purpose. That was so good. I used to have this as like my Instagram little note in my profile. I was like 天生我材必有用. Anyway, that's that poem. We'll dig into it a little later. But anyway, I see you guys are just conversing in the comments. So that's my bias to avoid hardcovers, and that song is great. I love hardcovers, honestly. I really, really do. What's the name of the poem again? 将进酒. 将进酒. I believe in this case it's actually 将进酒. Yeah, 将进 you. Oopsie. In some cases, you might see it as like Bring the Wine by Levi. So I'll just say Bring the Wine by Levi. Beautiful poem. I think it's worth reading and digging into. So I'll make sure I do that in the end of the new year. I mean, in the beginning of the new year when we start the other one. Freya says, I'm running out of room in my bookshelf. Unfortunately, I don't have room for more bookshelves. I'm not going to lie. Why does this feel very deja vu? Anyway. That sucks. That really, really sucks. You need a bigger house, a bigger home then. So, any more questions before we go out? I know we kind of got carried away talking about one thing in particular, but I can take like 2 or 3 more questions at most, I think. And while I give you all time to type questions, I'm like looking around. Okay. Anyway, yeah, get a bigger house for bookshelves. No, got to return to real life now. Yeah, I do too. I need to do my homework. Anyway, you're so welcome for the break. So I am like stretching it out because I know sometimes when I'm like, oh, no questions. Okay, I'm going to go. And then a question pops up. But I'm going to go ahead and say thank you all so much for joining me in this live discussion on Volume 4. I'm very, very, very excited to get to hopefully just at least a little bit of fluff in Volume 5, but also learning more about Muzhong Lian. Um, you guys have no idea how much I love this. But before we end, there is something very important that we need to do, and that is actually the giveaways. So if you can stay just a little bit longer, um, those who I don't even know if everyone is here that participated, but essentially for the giveaway, the 13th to the 19th, in which those of you who were on YouTube, you just signed up, like joined my Patreon for free. And from those dates, and I would put you in the drawing for the month of October completely free. And I do know that there was at least one person who signed up for fee. They actually joined like my 7-day trial, but I still put them into the thing because I'm like, okay, why not? Maybe they just decided even if they don't win, they'll still pay after that. So that's fine. And then for my Patreoners, there was also a chance for you guys to win. And it was kind of hard because so for my Patreoners, I asked them a specific question and they had to give their answer. And I would choose my top 3 favorite answers for you guys to get 2 months free. So let's go ahead really quickly and start with the drawing of who the YouTube winners are going to be. So whether they're like here during the live session right now or not, doesn't matter. I'm just going to, hopefully reach out to them within like a couple days or so. So let's go ahead and share my screen really quick so y'all can see me. Oopsie, rotate the thingamabobber. Okay. So the first thing I want to say, which I can repeat it again, is for anyone who wins as a YouTuber. So I technically cannot message you if you are a free member. So what I am going to ask you to do, this is going to be your responsibility if you want to redeem your free month, is to email me at themariechan1@gmail.com. If you're here, I put it in the comment section. If you're not here, it is the THEM as in monkey, ARIC as in cat, HAN as in nobody, the number 1 at gmail.com. All you have to do is send me an email and I will give you the link to get your month free. So anyway, let's go ahead and see who the first winner will be. So okay. So Meg from Family Guy won. No, I'm just kidding. It's not Meg from Family Guy. So I'm going to make a quick note of that for myself. Meg is going to be the first winner who signed up. And we're going to go again. Okay, Kiara is going to be the second person, or Kiara, because I don't think they have like the L sound in Korea. Anyway, now we're going to do the last person. Okay. Lindsey Hughson is the last YouTube winner to get October free. So again, all of you guys send me an email. I will make sure the description, like my email, is in the video so that you can get it. I'll also put a post up for anyone who may not be in this live right now. So that is for the YouTubers. Those are the three winners. You're getting October free. And then once that ends, your access will be over. And if you want to join, then you'll have to, set all that stuff up on your own. Now, for my Patreoners, just so like those who aren't on Patreon know what the question was, which I may do it for you guys as well one day. But the question was, what Danmei character do you think will miserably fail the most in a coffee alternate universe? So the first winner, I don't remember if they're here. It's going to, I'm really hoping I say this right. Frywen. It's spelled like fry and then when fanfic fodder. Basically. So this was my absolute favorite answer because I promise it's not because just because it's Yen Wusher. Oh yay, yes, Freya, you're here. I didn't I didn't choose you as my number one winner just because you said Yen Wusher. It was really because of you, your explanation. She said, Freeman said, did I say your name correctly? Freeman? Just let me know. Otherwise, I'll just say, well, Freya went, oh, I see what you did. Freya Wenla. Okay. It's not just because it's because sorry about the sirens going on, but he'd start doing it for shits and giggles, and after like two customers, he'd start to make the orders wrong on purpose and watch the chaos ensue. He'd collect the most insane customer complaints, and if asked, he'd totally not remember anything like that happening, and then poor Bianyan Mei would be left to deal with the aftermath. So I just thought that one was so funny because it, to me, the answer was well thought out. It was very well thought out. Like you gave the whole scenario, and I really, really appreciated it. So, yes, you win the first, I guess, Patreon winners, and they are actually getting 2 months free of their tier, whatever tier they are in, which I believe everyone that applied was actually in the third tier, but don't quote me on that. So then the next person I chose is actually I don't know if it's Espresso Fox or Express of Ox. Who knows? But I'm gonna put them here, and I of course I can reach out to you guys since you are members on my Patreon. But I liked their answer as well. I pretty much liked answers that seemed to have a bit more of an explanation. But they chose one of my favorite characters, which is Suebuchu. Suebuchu. He probably wouldn't kill the customers, but they might kill him. Plus, can you imagine him try to provide service with a smile? It would be so, here, I have provided the service I am contractually obligated to. Anything further is unnecessary and frivolous. You may leave. Wasn't that so good? So They are the second winner of 2 months free. So, then he'd know all the gossip though. He really would. He would know all the gossip. That man is so well informed. I love it. So, then I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I had a hard time picking the last one. And I actually, now that I'm looking at it, I still didn't pick between the two people I was looking at. So I think what I might do, actually, I don't know. We'll just have to figure it out. So let me look at these really, really quick. Gosh, this is so hard. Okay, I'm gonna tell you all the two I chose for the third spot because I need your help. So the first one is actually Cindy 4518, who said that they would pick Feng Xiao. They think Feng Xiao because he would just be like, "What's your name for the order?" Oh, wait, I don't actually care. And then scribble his own name to give himself all of the delicious treats and drinks. There was that one. And then the last one, Jasmine, was actually yours that I really, really liked. And she chose Guyuan because she felt he would attempt to pose like this upstanding businessman, all elegant, drinking a cup and everything. But then he'd ask the most inappropriate questions or make the most inappropriate comments that destroy this elegant impression. Like, gaze upon my beautiful face, or anything like that. So it was really hard for me to choose between those two. I have a hard time. So I am enlisting your help. Um, should the third one go to Cindy or should it go to Jasmine? And I already know Jasmine, obviously. You're going to pick yourself. So, guys, just put Cindy or Jasmine. How do I forgot how to ask questions in this thing. No, it doesn't matter. Cindy or Jasmine. I'll give you guys time to just pick. If I need to say it again, I will. Cindy chose Feng Shao. He probably would be like, "What's the name for your order?" Wait, I don't actually care. And then write his own name to get the treats. And then, no, I was looking for how to add the poll. And I think for a second I couldn't find it. Oh, I found it. See, it's weird because it's like yes or no instead of okay. I guess I'll say, should Cindy get the last giveaway? No, I see. Who should get the last giveaway? Oh, it's letting me edit them. I guess it just had it in there like that, and I thought I couldn't edit it. That's on me. So, okay, 1 second, you guys. 4518. Okay. There you are. So you can go ahead and make your choice. And I shall give you a minute or two. Because it was hard for me to choose, like really hard. And just in case, again, so Cindy chose Feng Xiao, Jasmine chose Gu Yuan, basically saying he would pretend to be an upright, elegant businessman, and then he would say something inappropriate to completely shatter that innocence. So, okay. I'm also just looking at how to view this. All right, Feng Xiao versus Gu Yuan. Damn, all of the above now live in my imaginary coffee shop, and I want to have time to draw them all. Please draw them and put it in the community. I definitely love to see it. Okay, I think that's enough time. So I am going to end the poll now. That should be enough time for you all. And it looks like Jasmine wins. So 60%. So Jasmine wins the last slot for my Patreoners getting 2 months. But here's what I'm gonna do. Cindy, I will give you 1 month. I will give you 1 month free because I still really liked your answer. 1 month. Okay. That's what I'm gonna do because why not? Guyun barista with monocle or without? Hmm. That's a great question. I'm gonna say with because it gives like that elegant air about him, So with the monocle. So the other thing that I did not tell anyone about, that I did not want to tell anyone about. Also, let me just go ahead and review the winners again. So YouTubers, it's Meg, Kiara, Lindsey Hughson. If those names are yours, send me an email. The description will be below. And then our Patreon winners are Freya, Espresso Fox or Expressive Ox, Jasmine, and then Cindy, you're getting a little something. Not the full thing, but a little something. So, one of the other things that I decided to do, because like I said, even though I am like charging on Patreon, it's not really about the money, even though, of course, like I want to get a little something. I decided to do a bonus giveaway for the Patreoners specifically. And it is oops, did my thingy go away? Hold on. It did go away. And I had already done this one actually. So there's no need for me to spin a wheel or anything like that. I have decided that I'm going to give one Patreoner 6 months free. And I already did it. And that is going to be Sakani Bayoli. So I think she was here yesterday. I don't remember actually. I'm going to reach out to her or him or they, whatever. I'm going to reach out to them and let you know that you'll be getting 6 months free. I think maybe like every other month I want to do this just because why not? Not necessarily the giveaways, but every other month I think I might just want to give somebody like half a year or 3 months or something like that free because I do know that some people can't afford to spare money but really really want to. And then I also just like to do it because this money isn't a necessity for me, so why not? But since I am doing that for my Patreoners, I'm actually going to do one as well for my YouTubers. Um, this was not planned at all. So this one's going to be different though. It's not going to be from the people that signed up for free. It is going to be specifically for one person who is here now. So I need to remember who. If you are only on YouTube, I'm trusting you'll be honest. Okay. Tell me if you are YouTube only. And I will put your name into this thingy and then we'll spin it. So that's how we'll do that. Because why not? That way you can go back and listen to the smut. Oh man. I'm still getting used to recording smut. So NFS, are you YouTube only? YouTube only. Ollie Weeb Art, I see you. Okay. It's all about the smut. Yeah. It's not only about the smut. Oh my god, don't say that. So, yeah, I'm just waiting for you guys to tell me. I'll give you time to type it all in because I don't know what the lag or delay is for you wherever you are. Okay, everybody wants the monocle. Yes, NFS, give us some monocle, monocle Guyun art. You won't say it. He said, I won't say it, but it's already been put out there. So that is the case. Is everybody else here like Patreon? Is that the case? Because nobody else other than that one person was like, I'm YouTube only. I'm waiting. I think it's time for me to, I think that's it. Oh, I totally messed up my art output. I needed motivation. I'm YouTube only, but you don't like giveaways. Oh, why not? So don't put your name on the wheel? It's too much attention. When no one can see your face, does that make you feel more comfortable? No one sees you. No one will ever see you unless you post a picture of yourself in the community. Do you still not want to be put into the giveaway? Because if not, I won't put you in it. She's like, fine. Okay. That's so funny. Okay. So then everybody else here is Patreon. That's very exciting. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and spin the wheel then. Oh, I see you and L. Okay. I'm going to share my screen so you all can see what YouTuber will get 6 months free. I don't like these ads. Get rid of them. There we go. All right. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3. There we go. So let me put that over here. Yes, I have you on. I had you on here for the YouTube only. You were right there. See? Yeah. So congrats, Weeb. Like I didn't put the whole name, and then autocorrect changed this Ollie Weeb. Why are you changing? They changed Weeb to week. Okay, so as I said, all of my YouTubers reach out to me at my email, marichan, the marichan1 at gmail.com. That's going to be put below in the email for you guys because I can't reach out to you like on Patreon if you signed up for free. You'll have to message me to redeem this, and there will be like a time frame. I'm going to send the link to you all, but it won't be open until the 30th of this month, I believe, all the way to October 2nd. So from the 30th of this month to October the 2nd, you will have time to sign up. And the reason being for that is because I don't want y'all to sign up now when I'm going to be away for a week, because then there's no chance for like a live session or things being recorded from the story to continue. So I want you to get a full month in its fullness, the way it would actually be. So, and like I said, I'll reach out to my Patreoners. I'm going to go ahead and let you all know since you're here. That way I don't have to explain it again. Well, actually, unless you're not here. So when it comes to gifts, they can only be given out to people who are free, have like not signed up, who are on a trial, or who have canceled. So what you'll have to do is cancel before your next charge and then use the gift that way. And then after the gift runs out, I think it will stop your access again and then you just restart it up. But a little crazy if you ask me. I think they should make it a lot easier for me to just gift free months and you be notified or something like that. But nevertheless, you're getting your time free. So congratulations to everybody. I feel good. That I feel like I've done something good. I hope you all enjoyed your time. We have officially made it to almost 3 hours and 30 minutes of a live session. And though I feel like I can keep talking, I probably shouldn't. So, congratulations. I look forward to seeing you all again and hearing from you all next week of what you think of the videos that are published because I will still look at comments and stuff. And yeah, what I need. I'll give you a chance to say bye. I know you guys like to say bye, and then I'll go. Okay. Close out of that. Close out of that. He says bye. Bye bye. Thank you guys.